Mayor Brown has worked alongside of us to guide and coordinate the Hall of Fame's efforts to help grow and maintain the Wyoming Valley Challenger Baseball Complex at Evercore Field in the Miners Mill section of Wilkes-Barre. Through his office's direction and leadership, Wilkes-Barre is providing areas of safe recreation for individuals with physical and intellectual disabilities. He has now turned his attention to creating another safe haven for our children adjacent to the Challenger facility, just like the wonderful special needs playground at Kirby Park. Acting as the representative for this organization, please accept my heartfelt thanks and know that the funds being raised will continue to provide a sense of togetherness and inclusivity. This truly teaches us to break down barriers and overcome obstacles. At this time, Mayor Brown would like to speak about the proclamations that his office will be providing to our honorees today. Ladies and gentlemen, Mayor George Brown.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me in the back? Okay, thank you. First of all, it's an honor for me to be here, and I just want to say a few things. I'll be very short. Jim, how much time do I have?
2 days.
Huh?
2 days.
2 days?
2 days.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, it's an honor for me to be here. And first I want to recognize Jim Martin and the team that he put together. Jim is a very special person, and when he heard that we were building another special needs park in Wilkes-Barre with voluntary donations, he said, Mayor, I want to be part of that. It's going to be at the Bog. If you may not know where that is, it's in the north end section of Wilkes-Barre. And he said, Mayor, I want to be part of raising funds for that because it's very special for Challenger baseball people up in that area. You know what I'm talking about. So we were happy to have Jim join our Special Needs Committee. And Jim, I thank you for that. You're the best. But he's always there for us, whatever we need. And I am very happy to be here today as mayor. Later on, I have to leave, by the way. I have another function. It's my 9-year-old grandson's birthday party. And I love you guys. Rocket, Quadri, Frank, I love you guys. But look, I got to be there, okay? So I'm going to have to leave in a little while. So I'll make the best of the time I have. But I'm honored to recognize this year's inductees, Francis Xavier Bauer, as I call him, my Dr. Bauer. Boy, they love you, Frank. Huh? And I could hear that with the hearing aid you gave me. Frederick Fritz Bleich. Where's Frederick? Where are you? All right.
Virtually inducted. Virtually inducted today.
Oh, okay, virtually. Okay. Taylor Lillian Dean. Jack, where'd you? Now, Jack told me when I saw him, he said, this is my daughter. She's being inducted, but I don't have any ability to pass on to her, so it came from her mother. So thank you, Mrs. Dean, for doing that. Jack, I hope you don't mind me saying that. Okay. Amanda Faust. This gentleman I met yesterday named Quadri the Missile Ismail. His older brother, and Rocket, thank you for correcting that yesterday, Rakib Rocket Ismail. Samuel, as we call him, Sam Hyder. And I'm afraid of Sam because he's a pretty big, karate guy. I'm afraid of Sam. No disrespect to you, Jim, but I'm afraid of him. Sean Robbins. Sarah Silvetti. Boy, Sarah's pretty popular too. Jason Tardinman. Jason. Ray Yakovonis. Jim, these guys are all really, really popular people here.
They are.
I'll never get inducted into this, I'll tell you right now. Okay. And Edward Zawatsky. Now, as I said, folks, there was a proclamation that we prepared from the mayor's office for each of these wonderful people. They'll be getting it later from Dave after I leave. But also, I'm pleased to recognize this year's honorees and scholar athletes. Ellie Bartoli, Kathleen Bresnay, Adam Zucker, Louis Ciampi. I'm sorry, Ciampi. Rowan, oh boy, Rowan Lazovnik. Did I get that right? Rowan, I'm sorry if I screwed that up. And also Kendall Kreswicki. But when Jim said to me, he said, "Do you have a speech you're going to read off today?" And folks, I don't like to read speeches because I'm not good at that. I went to Myers, but I really didn't learn a lot about reading. So I'm just going to speak from the heart, okay? And one thing I want to tell you is something that you may not know. Quadri, Rahib, and Frank Bauer are actually older than I am. Did you know that? Well, they are. And I'll tell you how I can prove that. I was an 8-year-old young man in South Wilkes-Barre, and we used to put together these games that you play in the backyards, and everybody wanted to be their special player. Okay, well, this guy wants to be Y.A. Tittle, this guy wants to be Bart Starr, this guy wants to be Frank Bauer, and I always, Frank, you were popular back when I was 8 years old, and then I always said, I want to be Quadri and I want to be Rahib, I want to be the rocket and I want to be the missile. And they say, yeah, you always want to be those guys. I said, well, they're the guys I want to be. So when I was 8 years old, you guys were my heroes. So then my dad, now you got to picture my dad, he's a Marine, he's a tough guy, and he takes me to Myers football game. And the rocket and the missile are blowing up that field, touchdowns here, touchdowns there. And I said, Dad, I want to be just like the rocket, and I want to be like the missile. And he said, son, don't you want to go to school and be a doctor or a lawyer or a mayor? I said, no, I don't want to be a doctor or a mayor. I want to be a rocket or a missile. And he said, all right. Now, I'm 8 years old, right? Okay, it's time to go to high school now, and I take the test for Scranton Prep, and I get in, because I cheated, and I got in, and anyway, my dad says, now he's a Marine, he works in a factory, they're scrimping and saving, trying to get me to go to Scranton Prep. And I said, Dad, I don't want to go to Prep. I want to go to Myers. I want to be a rocket or a missile, right? And he goes, yeah, what are they going to call you? You're 5'6", you're 150 pounds. I said, well, they'll call me the tank. Right, Rocket? They're going to call me the tank. Okay. So anyway, I have all these aspirations, and our sophomore year, the football team gets to meet our new coach. This guy's name is Mickey Gorham. Now, if you ever met Mickey Gorham, I'm 5'6", 150 pounds. He's about 6'5", about 260. I look up and I'm like, oh my God, I should have been a doctor, a lawyer, or a mayor, right? And this guy's huge. And he goes, Brownie, you're going to make a football player out of you, Brownie. I said, okay, coach. So anyway, the first 2 years, my sophomore, junior year, I earned a letter for bench time, for sitting on the bench, all right? And you can't put that on the sweater, though. It doesn't say a line for, sitting on the bench. Senior year, yeah, I got to start playing. And he'd say, Brownie, and he'd grab my face mask. If you got anybody that played for him besides our Ismail pals, he would take your face mask and he'd go, Brownie, you're a little, you get out there and knock that guy in his, I can't say because there's some kids here. So I was scared. I was really scared. So I go out there and I try to knock that guy on his. Now, if I didn't, I tried to get off the field on the other team's sideline, but that never worked, okay? They'd always throw me back and say, go take care of Mickey. So I get back there, and once again, he grabbed my face mask and he pulled me around like this. And anyway, I loved the man. Besides being a football coach, outside of football, he was another father figure for me. He really was. He was my other father. So anyway, make a long story short, graduated, and 2 years ago, I saw the Rocket here at a fundraiser for, I think it was United Way. And I said to the Rocket, I said, man, we got this friend that, a mutual friend we had. He goes, who's that? I said, Mickey Gorm. He goes, oh, yeah. I said, but Rocket used to say stuff to me. I said, I can't tell you what he said. You remember that? And he goes, oh, come on, tell me. I said, I can't tell you what he said because, there's people around here. So he pulled me aside. He said, whisper in my ear. Whisper what he said. So I whispered what he said. I said, Brownie, you're nothing but a... And Brownie, you get out there. He goes, he said the same thing to me, Mayor. All right? Now, I don't believe that because this man is all everything, and I was 150 pounds, But seriously, folks, I'm honored to be here. And those of you that are winning induction into the Luzerne County Sports Hall of Fame, you have achieved something that most people will never achieve. This guy, the tank, is never going to receive that. But you guys have achieved something that's wonderful. Now you have to go out and be mentors for people. Like yesterday, when Quadri and Rahib spoke to a bunch of students at the Wilkes-Barre Area School District. Those children listened to what you said. It went to their heart and to their mind. And I truly believe that take this honor, take the induction into the Hall of Fame, and use it. Use it to help these children, mentor them into being people that are going to be constructive parts of society, being successes like these two gentlemen and Frank and everyone else that's here tonight that's being inducted. Please use that. It's all I ask you to do. Work with children, get them motivated, get them out of the house, get them to do things that are going to help society. And if you do that, I can't ask that much more. But thank you, everybody. Gentlemen, congratulations.
Listen, there's only a few of us that can really do Mickey Gorm, okay? Hey, Tiger. I had the opportunity to also play for Coach Gorm as Darrell Boych and those guys did. He was my second father also. Anything you needed, you can go and ask him, and he would give it to you just the way you needed to hear it. Mal Conway, he played for him also. Only people like that only come around once in a lifetime. Some will say, thank God. But he was somebody really special. I'd like to introduce now Dave Kanavich, Vice President of the Luzerne County Sports Hall of Fame, to speak about the presentations that he has received, which we're going to bestow upon all of our inductees and honorees this evening. Dave?
Thank you, Jim, and thank you, Mayor Brown. Good afternoon. I don't know how I'm going to beat Mayor Brown's speech. I'm not going to be able to. But I just want to say good afternoon to everybody. I am Dave Kanavich. I'm the Vice President of the Luzerne County Sports Hall of Fame. And it's great to see such a large turnout for today's event. I've been doing this for 7 years now, and I've never seen such a turnout, so thank you to each and every one of you. But first and foremost, I promise I will keep this short, sweet, and to the point. But I'd like to begin with congratulating the class of 2024 on your inductions into the Hall of Fame, and also to the honorees and the scholar athletes on all of your achievements. But I wanted to give a brief overview of the proclamations that the Hall of Fame has received from our local officials that will be presented to all inductees. And as Mayor Brown noted, this will be the first year that proclamations will also be presented to the honorees and scholar athletes. All proclamations will be accompanied with your awards. These proclamations represent the acknowledgement and recognition of the dedication, hard work, success, achievements, and awards that each of you have earned throughout your careers. Take them with great pride, as they are well-deserved. I want to give a sincere thank you to several of the legislatures that have prepared these proclamations, not only for this year, but also for previous years. Specifically, U.S. Congressman Matt Cartwright, to PA Governor Josh Shapiro, to Senator Lisa Baker, to PA State Senator Marty Flynn from the 22nd Senatorial District, to PA State Senator Linda Culver, the 27th Senatorial District, to State Representative Eddie Day Pashinsky, to Wilkes-Barre Mayor, who was just up here, my mayor, George C. Brown, to the Berwick Borough Mayor, Tim Burke, to Hanover Township Manager, Sam Gusto Jr., to the Larksville Borough Mayor, Joe Zawatsky, to the Mountaintop CDP Mayor, Norman Rule, and to the Dallas Borough Mayor, Tim Carroll. I don't believe I missed anyone. If I did, I apologize. But once again, I just want to thank all of these individuals and all of their teams for their continued support of our Hall of Fame. And with all that being said, I will step off my soapbox and I will turn the microphone over to my good friend and fellow Hall of Famer, Mr. Paul Richards, who will present our class of 2024 Scholar Athletes. Thank you all so very much.
Thanks, David. Appreciate the introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Paul Richards, Myers High School class of 71, and Luzerne County Sports Hall of Fame class of 2020. It's my privilege to introduce and recognize the 2024 Carol A. Hurley Scholar Athlete recipients. We are celebrating the 40th year of the Hall of Fame, and we have increased our awards to $1,000 to help cover some of the ever-rising costs of college education. We serve 22 school districts in 5 counties: Luzerne, Wyoming, Bradford, Sullivan, and Northern Columbia County. And to date, we have awarded $15,500 to students in those districts. We have recently partnered with the Luzerne Foundation as a measure of compliance for the presenting of these types of monetary awards. The criteria for selection includes athletic performance, academic excellence, and community service. We place a significant emphasis on the service component because we strongly believe in the value and the power of athletics in helping young citizens grow and learn to be valuable members of their community. Candidates are nominated by their school guidance counselors, and then a committee from the Hall of Fame selects the recipients. This year's award winners are great examples of each of these characteristics. As I announce your name, please come up front to receive your award and remain up front for a group picture. Our first award winner is Kendall Kraswicki. Come on up, Kendall. Kendall graduated from Wilkes-Barre Area High School, where she was a member of the field hockey and lacrosse teams. She will attend Ohio State University and will major in biology and a pre-med track. Our second award winner is Rowan Lezevnik. Rowan graduated from Pittston Area High School, where she was a member of the soccer, basketball, and track and field teams. She will be attending Virginia Tech and studying biomedical engineering. And our third and final award winner is Louis Champy. Louis graduated from Wyoming Area High School, where he was a member of the soccer team. Louis will attend Susquehanna University and will play on the soccer team. Congratulations to the 2024 Scholarship Award winners and their families. We know no one is successful without a great support group around them, so this is an award for the entire family. You can read more about these great students in our program, and we look forward to following their success as they get through college. Thank you.
Well, we're at the meat of the program right here. Dignitaries, inductees, honorees, scholar athletes, honored guests, family and friends, members of the media. Good evening and welcome to the 40th Annual Luzerne County Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Again, I would like to thank you for joining us tonight to honor our distinguished panel of 12 inductees, our scholarship athletes, our 2024 Sam Falcone Community Service Award winner, our 2024 Media Award recipient, and the individual chosen for the 2024 Tracy Tremendous Profile Courage Award. At this time, I'd like to speak briefly about our partnerships. We take great pride in acting as community servant leaders. We have worked alongside these agencies to help ensure their continued success in the communities that which they also serve. I hope you had the opportunity to view our community service video in the back, which was playing during the cocktail hour. Our media director, Mary Jo Romchak, put that together, that outstanding compilation of all of our service initiatives. Everything that we offer to the community rides on the back of this banquet and the modest donations that we receive annually. Our partnerships are Wyoming Valley Challenger Baseball, Special Olympics of Luzerne County, the Hazelton Integration Project, Brave Athletics, the Greater Wyoming Valley Area YMCA, Toys for Tots, Juvenile Diabetes of Northeastern Pennsylvania, Hospice of the Sacred Heart, Discover NEPA, the Visit Luzerne County Tourism Board, the Greater Wyoming Valley Chamber of Commerce, the Association of Fundraising Professionals, and our newest entry, Patriots Cove. In the front of your program, you'll be able to read and recognize the sponsors by logo. They are the ones that provide the funding necessary to create this memorable evening. Please allow me to personally thank our sponsors: Miracle Commercial Real Estate Services and Discover NEPA, Fellerman and Cirimboli PC, the Wilkes-Barre Scranton International Airport, Pioneer Aggregate, Dee's Diner, Diamond Manufacturing, Anzalone Law, Grotto Pizza, Lyot Back and Neck Center, Dr. Stephen Voice, PNC Bank, Green Space Properties and the Romanowski family, O'Donnell Law, Rainbow Jewelers, and Patty's Sports Bar. With regards to future Pennsylvania Sports Hall of Fame inductions in November, we will be presenting for induction to the State Hall Stephanie Jallin, Paralympic Skiing 2014 bronze medalist, Bo Orlando, Berwick Bulldog and West Virginia Mountaineer and Houston Oiler, and David Popson, basketball legend who played for UNC and was Michael Jordan's teammate, and the Boston Celtics. These will be our 40th, 41st, and 42nd PA Sports Hall of Fame inductees. Let's give them a round of applause. I'd like to take a moment right now to recognize a good friend of mine and someone in the audience who has been a vital part of everything I've done with the State Hall of Fame. He's on the executive committee, acts as a marketing representative. He helped lead efforts to regard to state inductions and advertising programs. He and I together raised $25,000 last year for the Pennsylvania Sports Hall of Fame for their initiatives. He's a PA Eastern Regional Vice President and a member of the Montgomery County chapter of the Hall of Fame. If you look in your programs and you see all those football advertisements in there, they are a result of him. He directly captured all of those for us, for our football athletes. And at this time, I'd like to have him stand up and reserve a deserving round of applause from Philadelphia area, Mr. Steve Switkowitz. Again, this year, we look forward to placing the artifacts from our 2024 induction class into our award-winning museum exhibit at the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Airport. Just to let you know that Executive Director Carl Beardsley has allowed us to present these subjects to over 250,000 people that pass through the airport every year, annually. What they're allowing us to do is honor the past but inspire the future. And I have to admit, I'm kind of a stalker. I go up there and I'll go sit in those rocking chairs right where they disembark, and I'll watch people, and either they're trying to kill time, they're waiting for somebody, or they're waiting for their flight. But to watch little kids go over and press their noses up against that glass, it's telling me that we're teaching them to dream. Rocket Ismail yesterday spoke to these children at Wilkes-Barre area. He talked about planting that seed, and that seed has to get its nourishment from everything in the surroundings to help it to grow, to use your imagination. We called it visualization when we were competing, and it's so true. Be a leader by example. These kids, they go up there and the families go up there and they say, oh gosh, I recognize him. I played with Frank Bauer over there at Valley West. And it's such a reward to know that these folks are embracing the sports-rich history that we have in northeastern Pennsylvania. All of it comes on the back of also Jack Monick, the photographer here. He's the one that puts the virtual tour together with myself and Mary Jo Romchak of all those individuals. And we are on the blink right now. We have to get an update on our virtual tour. But we are the only chapter in the state of Pennsylvania that has a virtual tour of our inductees. The only one out of 28. And that speaks volumes when it talks to representation across the state of Pennsylvania. Yeah, give yourselves a round of applause. That's pretty important. I would be remiss if I didn't say thank you to the person who helps me through all this and puts up with all my crazies. My mom. No, sorry. My wife, Donna. I got to thank you publicly for allowing me to just drive you absolutely insane. And thank you for that. And thank you, Mom, for having me. On a more somber note, we'd like to acknowledge the loss of members of our organization that we've had in the last couple years, couple months. Most recently, Brooke Yeager, Wilkes legend, coach, athlete, and we don't forget. We don't forget. We have a newsletter. We send that all to everybody who's one of our members, and you know what's going on with us. We are so transparent. You know every move that we make and how you represent us and how we represent you. So thank you for that. We gather here today to honor 18 outstanding men and women who have represented themselves, their schools, their colleges, this community, these 5 counties which we represent, and this country at various high school, collegiate, amateur, professional, and Olympic levels, both nationally and internationally. We also want to honor those individuals that have guided the field of play and others that have painted pictures with words like our media, describing the beautiful actions of sporting events. We want to honor those individuals that provide selfless community service and the positive image that sports generates through the media, which is so desperately needed in today's society. We also want to recognize those individuals that battle the odds and find worth in their accomplishments. Lastly, we are compelled to honor our student athletes for their tireless commitment to academics and athletics in the hopes of continuing their dreams of collegiate success in the classroom and on the field. To date, with the inclusion of this group, we are proud to have recognized 731 different chapter inductees and 42 Hall of Fame inductees at the state level from 37 different areas of athletic endeavor. They include promotion of sport, the media, community service, and the continued progression and organization of athletic competition. At this time, I'd like to ask all previous inductees to the Luzerne County Sports Hall of Fame to stand up. Please stand. If you're inducted in our Hall of Fame right now, please stand. And remain standing. Remain standing. At this time, I'd also like to ask all of our Pennsylvania State Hall of Fame inductees to stand and be recognized also. Coach Klasner, Coach Gemsky. These were our teachers. These were our leaders. We don't forget them. We will never forget them. I'd like to tell you that we will not be reading each individual biography prior to a presentation, so I invite the audience to view those outstanding accomplishments of these fine individuals in our program book, which was so beautifully, it's 125 pages. Again, that's the number one program book in the state of Pennsylvania, judged by our peers. And that's all thanks to Independent Graphics and Mr. Lou Champy. So let's get started with the first honoree. Our first honoree is a Swoyersville resident, The impact that she has on our community is evident by the number of entities which she lends her services to. Her insight and vision has led her to become a Kiwanis officer over many years. She has spearheaded initiatives to provide much-needed resources to all in need. She has made an overwhelming impact in the community, regional, and state levels. Service above self is her keynote. This woman truly defines what a community servant leader is, and she is the prototype for anyone that wants to become actively involved in multiple services to others. The 2024 Sam Falcone Community Service Award winner, and it's being presented to Mrs. Kathleen Bresnay, if she can come up. Dave Kanavich will present her award.
Whew, I'm out of breath. That's a long walk. Nobody told me I had to go that far, okay? Whew, let's get started here. First of all, I'd like to thank Jim Martin, okay? Jim, he recognized what I was doing as far as acknowledging the service and work I do throughout our community and with the Swearsville Kiwanis. Thank you, Jim, for recognizing that and making this possible. Of course, I'd like to thank the Luzerne County Sports Hall of Fame. It is truly an honor to be chosen as the recipient of the Sam Falcone Award for Community Service. This recognition is such a significant milestone in my journey of volunteering. It means so much to me. And of course, the members of the Swearsville Kiwanis Club. Without them, I wouldn't be here today. They gave me the support that was always by my side. And of course, they never say no to anything that I brought before them, no matter how crazy my ideas have been. They are a big reason for this award. It's also gratifying to know that my commitment to helping others and volunteering has a positive impact in many areas. Accepting this award is very special to me, not just as a recognition, but also as a testament to the true spirit of volunteering. It gives me the encouragement to uphold and continue my service throughout our communities. There are always a few things that come to mind and I truly believe in when it comes to volunteering and service. First, I believe it's the fabric that holds a community together. I think it's you see a need and you respond. You respond with action and compassion. Also, I believe everyone has a desire to help others and volunteer. I believe that desire is in our hearts, but you decide how you choose to go along with it. It is life's experiences, whether good or bad, challenging or easy, that makes you who you are and what you are today. I also believe that any work done is never the work of one person. It goes hand in hand and side by side with the support that we receive when deciding to do so. And of course, let's not forget, service gives you one of the greatest rewards possible. It is a feeling that no one can describe. My work in helping others in our communities has given me a sense of who I am, why I'm here, and a feeling of being complete. My courage and confidence to offer service and volunteer has only come because of the trust and support that I receive from those around me. Of course, I also have to thank my amazing family. They always stand beside me and support me and encourage me in anything I do. And to my dear friends, they are always by my side in all my paths of service. And also to the members of the community. These members know me through my service and volunteering. They are the driving force of my endeavors. I promise to continue to strive for the high standards of this award represents, and that is service with courage and integrity. I look forward to continuing my path of service for many years to come, and I do thank you all from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
I want to say thank you to Kathy. Yes, I have known her for 20, 30 years, but I think I'm still Dave Kanavich, and I guess I'll find out by the end of the day if I'm still the vice president of the Hall of Fame. But I'm like that bad penny that you just can't get rid of. But I'm here for the second time, but this time it is to award the 2024 Sam Falcone Community Service Award to Kathy. And when Jim announced the honoree, I asked for the opportunity to present this award. Fortunately, unfortunately, the team said yes. But I've golfed in her Kiwanis tournaments with her husband for over 10 years now. And she, along with her team, they've sponsored volunteering events around the community, including Nights at the Races, Candy's Place, St. Joseph Center, the Salvation Army, Blue Chip, local veterans organizations, and many others. And all the money that is raised is donated back to local charities, organizations, and those in need of financial support. And if this is not the definition of philanthropy, I don't know what it is. But with that being said, it's my pleasure to present the 2024 Sam Falcone Community Service Award to Swoyersville Kiwanis President, Mrs. Kathy Bresnay. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Kathy Healy, and I'm a 2020 inductee of the Hall of Fame. Today, I have the distinct honor and privilege of presenting the Tracy Trebendis Profile of Courage Award to an extraordinary individual, Ellie Bartoli. Ellie has, Ellie has been a manager and player on my basketball team at Pittston area, and her contributions to our team have been nothing short of remarkable. She has been an integral part of our success, always showing dedication, hard work, and a positive spirit. Her commitment and perseverance were rewarded when she got to play in a varsity game, and she was also selected to play in an all-star game. But Ellie's excellence extends far beyond the basketball court. She has exemplified her heart and character by giving back to various organizations in the Wyoming Valley, demonstrating a deep commitment to her community and to helping others. Ellie, your courage, generosity, and unwavering spirit are an inspiration to us all. It is my great honor to present you with the Tracy Trebendis Profile of Courage Award. Congratulations, Ellie, and thank you for all that you do.
Thank you, Coach. It's kind of ironic since you're in the speech for tonight. Tonight, I am filled with gratitude as I stand before you, honored to accept the 2024 Tracy Trebendis Profile of Courage Award. From the moment I became a team manager for the Pittston area girls varsity basketball team, to the exhilarating experience of playing in 2 games as a senior. Sports have been a source of joy, inclusion, and empowerment for me. My mom, about a week ago, my mom told me a story about when she called Coach Healy. When my mom called Coach Healy to ask her if she would let me participate with the PA Lady Patriots basketball team, Coach Healy just responded, "Can she come tomorrow?" As a team manager, I became part of something special, a team that embraced me for who I was. It gave me courage, hope, and a place where I belonged. I loved my job as team manager. Yet I always wanted the chance to step onto the court and experience playing a game firsthand. That opportunity came during my senior year when Coach Healy offered me a chance to suit up and play in a regular season game alongside my teammates. The moment I stepped onto the court at Coughlin High School, all my doubts and fears melted away. In that moment, I was not defined by my disability or limitation, but by my passion, my determination, and my love for the game. I had the time of my life. I was also selected to play in the prestigious George P. Moses Senior All-Star Classic basketball game. That too was such a memorable night for me and my family. Those two games were more than just a chance to shoot hoops. They were an example of the power of inclusion, acceptance, and belief in oneself. With this courage and determination found through my experience in sports, today I volunteer as an advocate for PA Inclusive, where I continue to make connections with others and make a difference in the community. I'm also a performer with a local nonprofit called Our Chance to Dance. The money raised at these shows is donated back to area charities. I am extremely proud to be involved with all of these organizations. I am also a volunteer at the Wyoming Valley Chamber of Congress. I am so grateful for all those who have supported me along the way to my family, whose unwavering love and encouragement have been my guiding light. To Coach Healy, whose invitation to participate and to play changed my life. To my teammates, my coaches, my teachers, and my classmates, and my community for believing in me, including me, and giving me the opportunity to live out my dreams. Thank you for your unwavering support. I am truly blessed. To the Luzerne County Sports Hall of Fame for this incredible honor. I accept this award not just on my behalf, but on behalf of all those who dare to dream, who refuse to be defied by a diagnosis or disability, who live daily the true spirit of courage and resilience, just like Tracy Tormendis, whom this award is named for. Please remember no matter what challenges life may throw your way, never lose sight of your dreams, and never underestimate your courage to see you through. May we all find the strength to overcome adversity, compassion to embrace diversity, and the courage to live our lives with purpose and passion. Thank you.
The power of the human spirit. Truly. And just as an aside, the award that Ellie just received, who it's named after, Tracy Tremendous, is in our audience tonight. I'd like to have her stand. World champion swimmer, 1995. Someone that we could all look up to. Our final honoree found us as a pass-through between Syracuse University and the state of New Jersey. As fate would have it, connections in the TV industry provided him with a lead to join our community at WBRE TV. Jane Ann Bugda, by the way, said to tell you hello. He quickly embraced our area and all of its offerings, which also would include his future wife. His impact resonated weekly through a plethora of local and national sports news. He was able to share time with his close friend Rich Charneski, covering the landscape of northeastern Pennsylvania as it always happens, the trend in television is upward. He now provides national broadcast covers for CBS Sports. We welcome him back home and applaud his continued success. And I just have one question. Does this give us the hometown advantage now that we, from WBRE? I'd like to introduce our Media Award winner for 2024, Mr. Adam Zucker. The thing I always thought when I would watch him on television, he had this really baritone voice, like really, he drew you in. He was painting pictures with words, like he was describing something. You could actually visualize it while he was talking about it, But I think he has one TV program he might want to tell you something about. I'm not sure.
Thanks, Jim. It's great to be back. It's great to be back, and a lot of memories flooding through as I got here today. Starting with being where I don't have to explain where the 570 area code is. Let me just first say that every organization, every community, country needs someone as dedicated and as driven as this man, Jim Martin, someone who has just got an unrelenting passion and a mission to serve his community. So thank you to the whole board, the whole committee for this honor. Jim said 5 minutes, as did my producers at BRE, and they usually ended up yelling in my ear too. I didn't grow up here, I know that, but I can definitely say I ripened here, perhaps matured here, and if it weren't for my time in Wilkes-Barre, I would not be where I am now, I would not be who I am now. I met my wife Rachel here, I cut my TV teeth here, and I found my favorite hobby living here as well, though if the mayor or a prior mayor had put disc golf in Nesbitt Park when I lived here, would have saved a lot of time in the car. My table, which is table 30, by the way, they'll be happy to know. They'll be very happy to know I don't plan to mention disc golf again in my remarks. When I first left for New York City and the job that evolved into what is now my role at CBS Sports, I wouldn't shut up about Wilkes-Barre. One of my co-hosts off the air would ask me when I was going to go back to St. Olaf, which is a reference to Betty White's hometown in the show Golden Girls, because she would constantly talk about her hometown. I never shut up about Wilkes-Barre. So I thought I'd weave together some of my strongest memories from my time here for a more willing audience. You might know some of the names and definitely some of the places, some of which unfortunately have been closed up. But in late 1999, I was actually on the verge of getting laid off at my station in Syracuse, corporate downsizing and all that. And WBRE was hopefully about to throw my career a life preserver. So I was invited down and I had a lunch interview at Katana near Public Square with station management. Now, wise man once said, you don't eat sushi when you're more than an hour from the ocean. But when General Manager Art Dobby showed me his plate and said, try the eel, I did what desperation called for. I also remembered falling for it when the executive producer at the time, Larry Steyerwalt, told me that this eel was fresh out of the Susquehanna River. And I actually became a regular at Katana with my friend Guy and Tina Rotry, who are at our table here as well. But I never did have the eel again. So my first week working here, I started in December of 1999. My first week was the final week of the 20th century. So if you're old enough to have been having friends at that time, there was a lot of pressure. Y2K, all the FOMO was creeping in. Old friends were going all over the place. And I had to bail on my original New Year's plans to take a job, to keep my career going. So on the final day of the millennium, you only get one, I worked until 11:30 at night, and then I rushed over to my weekend director, John Anstedt's house in South Wilkes-Barre. House full of smoke. I did not know a soul except for him, but he made sure I wasn't alone. He was also amazing at his job. He's why I had a resume tape that I could send when it was time. Diehard Raiders fan as well, so and a Myers guy. So he loved you guys. Rocket, he always wanted you back in the silver and black. A lot of us on that weekend crew, we worked Wednesdays through Sundays. We worked odd hours, which also meant Monday nights were like our Saturday nights. Which also meant we were regulars at Monday Night Football, wherever we could see it, and we discovered Whiskey Business, The Biz. Yes? All right, one clap is all I wanted. That's great. Thank you. Stay in your seats. But it was 25-cent wings, 25-cent yings, which he explained to me was yinglings. And I was usually good for a dozen wings, and usually a snobby IPA from the latest whatever, Sierra Nevada at the time, I guess. But I love that place. I could walk home. I also enjoyed Elmer Suds. And whatever was happening at the old Murray's complex, which I guess is no longer, which is probably a good thing, unfortunately, but probably just for safety reasons. But saw a lot of up-and-coming bands there. I guess they made the suspension cables for the bridges there, and the railroad tracks out back, and they would bring the tanks from Berwick. They'd load the suspension bridge stuff on there. It's fascinating history. But Murray's was 2 blocks from my apartment, which is now the restored Stegmeyer Mansion. At the corner of South Franklin and Ross. I actually had a few units in there because it was cut up into apartments, but Joe Mateo did a great job restoring that to its previous life, even though he had to face some neighborhood resistance and became quite the vigilante to the time where I remember a Molotov cocktail landing on the porch when I was upstairs. On my walk to work, I would walk past Wilkes University, and I could see King's College up ahead. And to me, this was like Duke, Carolina, but like blocks apart. And at Channel 28, we always wanted to serve Wilkes-Barre, the Wyoming Valley, Luzerne County, first and foremost. And we made those games the biggest things we could, pumping up the Mayor's Cup when it was football and Kings was going in football. Also got to cover Danny Hale's Bloomsburg teams, and made a trip down to Alabama to see them play against Delta State, which was Delta State. Normally, like, you have a football roster and it tells you like what high school the kids went to. Nowadays, with the transfer portal and all that, which luckily for you, I'm not going to get into, it tells you their previous school. So Bloomsburg would have what all the high schools would be listed next to the kids' names. Delta State, previous school, Alabama, South Carolina, Mississippi State. Delta State won. I have no idea. That was a flight, but as far as driving, I have no idea how many thousands of miles I covered in this area with Rich Czarneski, who you mentioned. Richie's still running our sports department at BRE. His son is a rising baseball star, so he might be getting a plaque someday, but they're up in Cortland, New York today, so he couldn't be here. And Richie needed his days off. He was a busy guy. One of his days off came on a snowy night when Jerry McNamara had a game at Martz Hall. Had to cover every single one. Martz Hall's in Pottsville, and it was a snowy night if I didn't mention that. So I had to go. And on the way back in the Channel 28 Ford Focus with front wheel drive, trying to get the video home for the 11 o'clock show, I spun off Route 81, down a snowy embankment somewhere near New Angola. It's all curves, but everything in slow motion. Somehow, like, knew I was gonna be fine. I was able to get the car back on the road for about 2 months after that. We had the front bumper of the car on top of the cabinets in the sports department. Just kind of like proof of performance. Kind of like the station run, like when they cover the flood, like the weekly flood. Hey, we were there when, you know. But then our boss told us we had to take it down because the station ownership was coming. But anyway, the video made air. That's what's most important. And you should know, the people who are here from Channel 28, Channel 16, 22, the people who work at those stations care so much about their communities, and they don't get maybe their fair shake for doing it. By the way, I ended up being okay, thank you. Dr. Conway fixed me right up. Thanks, Doc. Good to see you. So I was in Wilkes-Barre for about 4 years. It was just after my 3rd year at BRE, where my old Channel 16 nemesis, I'm putting that in quotes for everyone in the back, David Pingalore. You guys remember Ping? Okay. This table, by the way, thank you. You guys have saved me. Saved me. Everyone else passed away earlier tonight. Thank you. He leaned into my ear while I'm shooting a Penguins game. Like in these markets, you have to shoot your own stuff. And I'm just trying to follow the puck, and he's schmoozing in the background. And in my exposed ear, he starts telling me, there's this new reporter at the station. You're going to love her. You got to meet her. We'll all go to Kelly's for wings after work. I was like, yeah, Dave, that's romantic. That sounds like a great idea. So in the moment, I was kind of just worried there was going to be a goal and I was going to miss it, or everyone at home would just hear Ping's voice on Channel 28 and get confused. Anyway, between Dave and our friend Julie Sidoni, Rachel and I went on a first date. And since we both worked from 2:30 to 11:30, we did lunch at Cooper's. Lovely. Many walks around Lake Scranton followed, and now we have 2 kids. Yay, kids. Rachel and I both grew up in New Jersey, but I do want to make it known, and this is where you might have to turn your heads toward table 30 back there. This is a homecoming for her mom, Ann, who went to Old Kingston High School back in the day. And Rachel's grandfather was Colonel Leonard Frank. He and his wife Zena had the clothing store on Wyoming Ave in Kingston. And every Army-Navy game on CBS, I wear a tie from the Leonard Frank clothing store, red, white, and blue. She's also the great niece of the late Harold and Sally Ann Rosen, and her dad's side has Pennsylvania roots going all the way back to before the French-Indian War, mid-1700s in Ringtown. My parents are also here. They have no Pennsylvania roots, except I was not allowed to come home to visit in New Jersey unless I brought the all-veggie pie from Antonio's on River Street. I don't know if they still make that. Usually visit Dr. Conway, then go get a pizza. But apparently they're open till 9:30 on Sunday, so we might be making one more pit stop after this. Thank you all very much for this, for having me back. It is a special feeling coming over that hill on Route 115, followed by that feeling that you need to now hit the brakes. My kids saw a runaway truck ramp for the first time today. So thank you all. I will see you for the Big Ten on CBS. I will be providing unbiased coverage when it's Penn State. Sorry, got to keep it that way. Yep, go Notre Dame. All right, well, Notre Dame, Purdue, week 3, Michigan, USC, week 4. And watch out for Guy Rothery Jr., golf star, rising up as well. Thank you all, appreciate it.
Okay. On to the inductees. Presenting our first 3 awards will be our Luzerne County Sports Hall of Famer, Carol Zubris. She was inducted also for figure skating, I believe it was 2013. And our first inductee of the night. He hails from Wyoming Valley West, Wyoming Seminary, and Lafayette College. He's gunslinger Dr. Frank Bauer. One of 2 inductees tonight that have graced the front cover of Sports Illustrated. He used his talents on the hardwoods and the turf to set records. His athletic prowess at quarterback at Lafayette College poised him to lead the nation in passing efficiency for all 3 NCAA divisions. I believe he also threw some passes in the offseason to our esteemed Ismails while they were all getting ready for the season to come along. I would like now to present for induction into the Luzerne County Sports Hall of Fame, Dr. Francis X. Bauer.
That was my cousin Clancy in that shot, who's about 6'5" and an attorney in Philly right now. But he couldn't be here, but his brother Joe is. Thanks for coming, Joseph. And Lindsay. But congratulations to my fellow inductees and the honorees. It's an honor to be part of this amazing class. Some of you I've known for years, and it's been a pleasure meeting the rest of you for the first time this weekend. When you stop playing a sport, people ask if you miss it. Do you miss playing the games? The thing I missed most was just going to a field and throwing a ball around. So one day in the early 90s, I was driving on 3rd Ave in Kingston when I came upon Raghib and Kadri working out in the park with Dr. Mal Conway. Something made me pull over, introduce myself, and before I knew it, I was getting calls from these guys to meet them in town at Myers or Wilkes, or a call from Kadri asking me to take a ride up to the Carrier Dome, sometimes with Joey Boylan, to work out. You guys can't imagine how much fun that was for me. I appreciate it greatly. I want to thank Dr. Conway. He saw that I still may have some life left, and he took me on as a project. He spent so much of his personal time training me, only to have my window close eventually. It's a tight window. I came to respect Dr. Conway a great deal and only wish that we met 5 years earlier. But Fast forward a few years later, and I signed up for the Wilkes-Barre Triathlon. Needed a goal to work out for. I vividly remember at one point being so close to Sean Robbins that I could have reached out and touched him. I was literally right on his heels, breathing down his neck. Then the race started, Sean took off, and I didn't see him again until late September somewhere out at Harvey's Lake. So I've been on that course many times, plodding along, trying to imagine how someone can possibly get to that level of fitness. It is truly remarkable. Roll ahead a few more years, and I'm talking to my old Valley West teammate, Eddie Zawatsky Sr., at a middle school soccer game. We got talking about what the kids were interested in, and Big Ed was saying how he thought young Ed wasn't sure, but he may put his focus into swimming. Next thing I know, my family and I are at a Denny's in Omaha eating a moon over my hammy special, while Fast Eddie is in a warm-up lane chatting with Katie Ledecky at the Olympic trials right up the road. Good choice, Ed. My daughter swam at the same time as Ed in high school, so we had the pleasure of watching him dominate and become an absolute beautiful swimmer to watch. Speeches like this are meant to thank people that helped you achieve your athletic dreams, from family to coaches to teammates to friends, and also to remember. I had the opportunity to play for some great coaches like Jim Fennell and Sandy McKay at Valley West, Marv Antinas at Wyoming Seminary, and Bill Russo at Lafayette, the 1988 Eddie Robinson 1AA Coach of the Year winner. I had the opportunity to hear a pregame locker room speech by Lou Holtz at the Hula Bowl, although probably not as passionate as getting the Irish ready to play Miami. I had the opportunity to play against Bo Orlando and the nation's #1 ranked Berwick Bulldogs, coached by George Curry in the 1983 playoffs. I had the pleasure of guarding McDonald's All-American Dave Popson with Digger Phelps in the second row watching on. I had the great pleasure of beating Holy Cross in 1988, the #1 ranked team in the country in 1AA. I played 3 times at West Point and had tremendous honor of being the starting quarterback 4 times in college football's most played rivalry, the Lehigh-Lafayette game. I then had the opportunity to go to a professional training camp with a chance to make an NFL roster. All of these things I appreciate and am very proud of. My Lafayette years in particular are very special to me. The guys I played with are some of the greatest people on the planet. Seeing them back in Easton in the fall is always a highlight of my year. Some of those guys were able to be here today. Matt Sala, all the way from Hawaii. All the way from Hawaii, yep. He wins the award. J.L. Lechner. J.L. caught the pass that got us to 400 yards at West Point the one year. So congratulations, J.L. Not that stats mattered, but Army knew that when we were coming, we weren't just the homecoming victory game. We were going to fight till the end. So Dave McPhee, Freddie Brown, Darryl Boych, Valley West own Joey Blannett, John Leone, the voice of Valley West football, Lafayette football and basketball, and my brilliant wide receiver and friend Phil Ing, who without Phil, I may not be standing here today. Thank you guys for coming. I'm also lucky enough to have an Irish twin, which is actually a built-in best friend and training partner. My brother Mike and I grew up playing some sport wherever and whenever we could. He has no idea the impact he had on me being able to accomplish some pretty cool stuff. Mike and my sister Michelle sacrificed many of their weekends to come see us play at Lafayette, home or away. And Mike would take that long drive up from Elon, North Carolina. I guess class was optional on Fridays. Yeah, you didn't, yeah. Nice job of scheduling. Thanks so much to Mike and Michelle. My aunts, uncles, and cousins from the Bauer and the Boylan side of the family, they would have a weekly family reunion wherever the Lafayette schedule took them. My aunts would be the ones getting invited to fraternity parties and tailgates at away games. My cousin Pat still tells me to this day that the Lafayette years were some of the best years of his life. Thank you to my family who made it here today, Marge and Andy McDermott, my mother-in-law and father-in-law, Art and Josie Raybuck, my brother-in-law, Frank Lombardo, nieces Abby and Lily, and my nephew, Freddie. Thanks for coming, guys. I would like to mention my Uncle Kevin Boylan. For those here that know him, you know the impact he has on a room of people. But he was so much more than a singing buddy to me. He was a fun but tough uncle, a counselor, a great friend, and my biggest fan. He now lives in Sarasota, and the Valley is definitely not the same since he left. Thank you, Uncle Kevin. We all know sacrifices that our families make on our behalf. My mom and dad were no different. Mom was like Doc Conway in my early years, even picking me up from football practice to go to piano lessons. In fact, my mom liked sacrificing so much that she gave up her retirement for the last 24 years as my partner in our audiology private practice at Amplified Hearing. I thank her every morning when I stop at her house to chat on the way to work, without fail. I'd like to thank my wife, Cheryl, and only wish she was around during the height of the fun in the 80s. She would have really enjoyed the ride. Raghib and Kadri used to ask me if I was meeting the pizza-loving girl after the workout, and I said, man, I hope so. 29 years, 3 kids, Julia, Ava, and Jacob later, and we're still meeting up every day. Thank you, Cheryl. And the last thing I want to say is when Bill Parcells was releasing me from the New York Giants, I sat at his desk and we talked about the speed of the game, maybe trying to get some experience in other leagues and so on, much of which I didn't want to hear at the time. But he ended up by saying, if this doesn't work out after a couple years, you went to a great school, have a strong family around you, and a good head on your shoulders, it will not be the end of the road for you. You'll have a nice life either way. And man, was he right. I've had a great life to this point, and I know there's so much more to go. Thank you to the Luzerne County Sports Hall of Fame for my inclusion. I will appreciate it always. Thank you. Thank you.
Our second inductee is the gold standard of Pennsylvania wrestling. This 3-time George C. Hooper Award winner, noting him as the premier District 2 wrestler for those consecutive years, held his place in history over 4 decades. A Hanover area product that had his place in and the opportunity to wrestle for another Luzerne County Sports Hall of Famer, John Carr. He cemented his place in Wyoming Valley Conference and Pennsylvania wrestling state history. After recent back surgery for sports-related injuries, he was unable to attend tonight, but we are going to be provided with a virtual acceptance in his honor. I present for induction into the Luzerne County Sports Hall of Fame, Frederick Fritz Bleich. Have a look at the screen.
Good evening, everyone. I'm sorry I couldn't be with you at this year's event. I'm currently on the mend after a recent back surgery. I want to thank the Luzerne County Sports Hall of Fame committee members for accepting me into this prestigious athletic institute. I'm honored to have received this selection. I also want to thank my family and friends in attendance and extend congratulations to my fellow inductees. When most people think of successful athletes, the words dedication and sacrifice come to mind. These words are the cornerstone of wrestling, the world's oldest sport. The hundreds of hours of repetitive drilling, the early morning road work, the weight training, the sauna sessions, and the dreaded weight cutting were the norm for all of us. I must admit that I fell in love with the training and, more importantly, the one-on-one competition. I recall routinely going on early morning runs attempting to get ahead of my competition. On more than one occasion, while running through South Wilkes-Barre, I ran directly into members of the great Myers teams who were out doing the same thing I was, attempting to outtrain the competition. Myers was our main rival, and every year we sold out the area's largest gymnasiums with thousands of fans, while many remained gathered outside the venue. Although I had support from many, I want to thank a few family members who are no longer with us. To my coach, uncle, and friend, the great John Carr, I say thank you, JC. I cannot express enough how much of an advantage I had while competing, knowing John Carr was in my corner. His calm, positive coaching style elevated our confidence. In the thousands of duels and matches I witnessed JC coach, he never raised his voice to one of his wrestlers. However, I can attest that a few referees did not experience the same calm manner that we did. John Carr is a member of the Pennsylvania and Luzerne County Sports Hall of Fames. To my parents, I also say thank you. My mom, Marcella Carr Bleich, having been part of a family that included her father's NFL career, Hall of Fame brothers Tom and John, and other relatives who also claimed Pennsylvania state wrestling titles really understood the rigors of the sport. Her wrestling knowledge allowed me the freedom to train and sacrifice as I deemed necessary without interference. My dad, Big Fritz, a Teamster who seemingly worked 24 hours a day, but still found time to drive my brother Walt and I around the state during the summer in search of strong competition. My dad was always willing to go above and beyond. Perhaps the single most important period of my young career occurred when my dad sacrificed his vacations and drove me out to Erie to train under the guidance of my uncle Tom Carr. At the time, TC was securely placed among the coaching elites in Pennsylvania, having developed numerous state champs at Erie Tech. The training my uncle set up was with the legendary Jimmy Carr, who had just returned home from the Munich Olympics. The personal training with the youngest Olympic wrestler in American history forever changed my style and approach. The Erie training sessions accelerated my overall development. Several months later, I found myself in the state finals as a young 14-year-old middleweight, which was very uncommon during that period of time. This accomplishment was a direct result of my father and uncle going the extra mile on my behalf. During football season, I injured my knee, tearing my ACL and meniscus. With wrestling season weeks away, a decision to either have surgery and bypass my final year of eligibility or compete and hope for the best had to be made. This was the most stressful period of my young career. College coaches, some directly, some through third parties, monitored my situation, waiting on my decision. I was overwhelmed. My inner circle finally convinced me that if anyone could compete at a high level with these type injuries, it was me. They kept me in the game and focused. 5 months later, their encouragement and confidence rang true as I successfully won a Pennsylvania wrestling title. I could have never managed this adversity without them. I was truly blessed to have had these incredible people who were as dedicated to me as I was to the world's oldest sport in my corner. On a final note, I want to thank my dear friend, former schoolmate, and sometimes opponent, Mr. James Martin, for his tireless efforts in organizing this amazing event. Thank you. Good night.
It wasn't really an oftentimes opponent. I wrestled him one time. My very first match in junior high. So Fritz and I went to St. Al's together. We've known each other since we're 6 years old. And he went off to Hanover and I came over to Myers. I got on the wrestling team. So we go up to Ashley, Newtown, where the junior high wrestled, and don't you know I've got to wrestle him. Oh my God. He pinned me in 33 seconds. 33 seconds. To this day, I don't let him forget that. But an interesting note, he's the first 3-time Hooper Award winner. We received an email from the Osterhout Library. They said, we have this trophy here in our closet, and we're getting ready to toss it out. Do you guys want it? It's a Hooper Award. So Mary Jo Romchek flies down to the Osterhout, and don't you know, it's the very first trophy of the George C. Hooper Award, which was started in 1955. And the last 3 names on that award, Fritz Bleich, Fritz Bleich, Fritz Bleich. So we are in possession of the very first and original Hooper Award. And when we put the museum exhibit together, it's going up there representing him. To accept his award right now is his grandson, Brady Bleich, a 2-time youth national champion already in wrestling. Brady? Boy's got swag, don't he? Check him out. We had to give him our tallest Hall of Fame member to hand the award. That's what sports is. Sports is family. Did I get the name right, Mrs. Blythe? Did I get his name? Good, thank you. I don't want to incur your wrath. Our next inductee provides the beauty and aesthetics that forms the body of the sport of figure skating. Trained locally, she competed statewide and nationally, garnering many prestigious skating titles. She took these talents to Boston University, where she became an individual national champion and contributed to a national team title. Presently, she will represent the USA Olympic Women's Rugby as a press officer at the 2024 Olympics in Paris this summer. Ladies and gentlemen, I present for induction into the Luzerne County Sports Hall of Fame, Taylor Lillian Dean.
Hi, good evening, everyone. First of all, thank you to the Hall of Fame for honoring me and all these amazing athletes today. I'm sure I'm not the only one who could say we're really proud to represent this area and be a part of Northeast Pennsylvania, and also proud to be one of the women here representing all the female athletes of this area. And thank you to those who came to support me tonight, sitting over at those tables over there. I'm really grateful for all of your support throughout the years and today. I'm really blessed to have you all in my lives. And thank you to those who couldn't be here today. You know, my brother and sister, they're off with their own lives being busy. And then my boyfriend, who's currently on FaceTime watching me get through this. And my skating career provided me with every opportunity I have to this day, from my 2 collegiate titles to the opportunity to be a part of Team USA as a press officer for Beijing in 2022 and coming up 2024. You know, as a figure skater, I never thought I'd be going to a Summer Olympics, so that's a really awesome opportunity. I wouldn't have persevered in this sport without all the people that supported me throughout the years and encouraged me to chase my dreams. First of all, thank you to my sister for coming with me. She grew up skating with me, so she was always along my side, being that annoying little sister on the ice with me. And then my brother for heckling me that skating was an actual sport, so that only pushed me to harder. And then all the people in my life, my babysitter Donna for getting me ready after school and always being the smiling face. My grandparents for driving me, going to competitions, supporting me. And then Vivian, who is kind of like my third grandmother, our grandparents' neighbor. And then anyone who kept my mom company on all the competitions, going to training camps. Our neighbor Sandy, my cousin Joey went one time with us. All these people. And then obviously all my coaches throughout the years, my coaches from Pennsylvania who were part of the Figure Skating Club of Northeastern Pennsylvania, now Blue Ridge Figure Skating Club, Carmina and Wendy. And then all of my skating friends, whether they're in Pennsylvania, Boston, Colorado, and beyond. And then my college coach, Andrea, she was the one who really pushed me through the last couple years of my skating career in college and got me through the highest level that I can get to. And then finally, my parents, for every ounce of support and always being my biggest cheerleaders. That's definitely not the full list of people, but thank you everyone again for your encouragement and getting me where I am today. I'm looking forward to where this sport will continue to take me. Thanks.
Taylor's being presented her award by our first Hall of Fame inductee for figure skating, Carol Zubras. In referring to the glorious age of martial arts in the Wyoming Valley, this man's name is synonymous with national and international competition. As an athlete, he carved a niche, logging miles and victories along his path. As an instructor, his 4,000 students can attest to his ability to foster a sense of calm and confidence from his teachings. The best of himself to give to others has been the foundation of his style from its inception. The honors never mattered. The safety of others was his main focus. Having been part of this world, I have had a front row seat to his amazing career. I present for induction into the Luzerne County Sports Hall of Fame, Mr. Samuel J. Hyder.
First of all, I'd like to let you know I have laryngitis, so this isn't going to go on very long. And I never do write speeches. I just want to thank this Hall of Fame. It's probably one of the finest Hall of Fames I've ever been in. Just recently, I received a Platinum Award for 50 years in the World Hall of Fame. I can't believe where the time went in my life. But like Jimmy said, I love this valley. I've always competed for the valley. After the 72 flood, we were called the Valley with a Heart. And we still are the Valley with the Heart. I remember I was probably 18 years old when I started the martial arts with the Martins. And my career escalated from there. I ended up going into the national circuit, and then I went on to the full contact circuit, where I had an undefeated kickboxing record. I was hit one time when I was working with the Teamsters in the Acme warehouse. Truck ran over my back, and my martial arts career came to a complete halt. Thanks to Dr. Conway, who's sitting right here, who works with almost every athlete, he ended up getting my career back in shape for me to go over to fight in Russia. I ended up going in Russia in 93, 94 when communism fell. And we went over with 22 countries. And normally in world-class competition, you have to have an official or somebody in your corner to be one of the 5 judges. So when we landed on the tarmac in Russia, it was like what you'd see in the movie. The jet pulls up, it's raining, ladder comes up, door opens, we walk down, they throw our luggage out. It's just right in the tarmac, our luggage bouncing, you don't know who's who. And so we ended up sitting on the curb, waiting for a shuttle to come get us. They finally got us, no running water. It was St. Petersburg, it's supposed to be Leningrad. And the canals, everything was parasites. So finally, when we started to compete in the Coliseum, it was barbaric. So when the meet finally started to compete, it started Japan, the little pee-wee weights came out. Here, this Russian guy comes out, nails this guy, knocks his eye right out of the socket. Before the guy could go down, back leg roundhouse kicks him and took his head almost right off his shoulders. Everybody's up in arms, everybody's screaming, no, this isn't what we're doing. And the Russians went like this, that were crybabies. They said, if you don't like it, go home. It's our country. I ended up getting my cousin Darryl Hyder and Suleiman Ismail into a competition that was so barbaric. I've never witnessed anything like that in my life. So the rules were, the only way you could win is by a forfeit or a knockout. So as the match went on, here we found out we were fighting the KGB. Because in Russia, if you did martial arts, you were put in prison. You weren't allowed to do it. And we thought we were going to revolutionize them. Oh, they revolutionized us. They won every competition except for my division in the heavyweight. There's a picture of me Jimmy had with my hand, okay, up there screaming. People say, what were you screaming? I have no clue. Zero clue. I was probably taking one of my fits. And that was the guy who knocked out my cousin. And my cousin ended up in the hospital for a week once we came back in the States. After the 9th fight, I had my ribs broke. And I went down, I got up and they're counting me out. I got up and I'm holding my knee. I fell back down on the tatami. They don't have rings, it's a mat. And I'm getting counted out again. Got up, fell back down. They said, you go down one more time, it's over. All of a sudden, I got up and my ribs went numb. I fought 4 more times. I ended up knocking him out. And I was the only American to win a world gold medal. So, yeah. Thank you. Like I tell people, I wasn't born this ugly. It took a lot of competitions, and I'll tell you what, I can't thank Jimmy and Mary Jo in the Sports Hall of Fame. Like I said, I've been in so many, but never with such great athletes, with the Ismails and every athlete in this room. I am so honored, and I don't feel like I'm even in their league. as an athlete, like the doc over and some of the people. They are such wonderful, fantastic athletes, and we are a value at heart. I started at 18, and I remember Mrs. Martin, excuse me if I say that, Jimmy, she was like a mother to us. We would go to these local tournaments. She would pack lunches for us. Everybody called her mom. Everywhere we'd go in the state, and with Jimmy's dad, we dominate everywhere. We were undefeated. We could fight in Chinatown, Harlem, but we always had our mom with us, Mrs. Martin, and she always kept us tough and always kept us in line, and that's where we are today. We still are a valley with a heart. I know things are changing. I've been a prison warden for a long time, but don't let people discourage you. Don't let them think this valley's no good. This valley's wonderful, and for me to stand out here and look at all the wonderful people that are from Wyoming Valley or came back to Wyoming Valley for this Hall of Fame. Jimmy, Mary Jo, and the group, they brought this right back to one of the best Hall of Fames you could ever be in. Like I said, I've been in a Hall of Fame for martial arts, but never in a Hall of Fame with such wonderful athletes. It's such an honor, and I just want to thank all you people. Thank you.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to get hit by him. I had the pleasure of that so many times. Oh my God. I felt like my chest would cave in. One half of the dynamic duo from South Wilkes-Barre came to us by way of New Jersey. This young man, GQ as he was known, started his transformation and the change of his trajectory by using his speed and athleticism to marvel the world in football and track. He parlayed his ability to run and hurdle into gaining two-sport All-American status, the first at Syracuse University since the legendary Jim Brown. Admittedly, it was his family, faith, and friendships that projected him to an NFL career. Only one of a handful of local athletes to play in a Super Bowl, he has launched the careers of many successful athletes by training them, including his own children. Today, he will share his induction with his brother by revisiting where it all started. I present for induction into the Luzerne County Sports Hall of Fame, Mr. Kadri the Missile Ismail.
We are family. We are here. We are not old. We are part of a social media generation, and we're going to take a selfie. I literally am more than humbled and honored to be in front of all of you, your family. And with family, you can be real and you can be vulnerable and you can speak plainly. So I decided not to write any notes, but to reflect back and remember the stories that put me in a position where, yes, I am a Super Bowl champion. I am a broadcast participant of another Super Bowl, and I proudly wear these Super Bowl rings. But that's the culmination of it all, but where did it all begin? It began here in the Wyoming Valley. It began with the opportunity to have a grandmother and a mom. See, I'm gonna move this back here because some people were like kicking it. Frank, you were about to kick it and then it was gonna fall off. I was nervous there for a second, Frank. Okay, we're family. We're gonna talk vulnerable today. There's no speeches here. Sam Hyder, you taught my younger brother how to fight. When brothers get into a fight and then all of a sudden the younger brother knows stuff that you don't know, you all of a sudden realize, okay, brother, I'm not fighting you anymore. It's okay, I love you. Love is in the air. Go see your older brother Rocket, he'll handle you. Family, when we look at where we started from, none of this happens if it wasn't for my grandmother, Mrs. Laura Nina Balknight. My grandmother had the vision. My grandmother had the wherewithal to bring her three
grandsons to Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, and we were coming from Newark, New Jersey. My mom, she was a single mom who was raising her boys the best she can, and we were in a stage of our lives as kind of those restless teenagers. What I loved about my grandmother's place on 17 Ray Street in South Wilkes-Barre was not the gnats that flew around your head in the summertime, but the opportunity to be on a street where there was peace there, and there was an opportunity to grow as a young teenage boy and to play in sandlot games of football with all of my friends. And that started me on that vision and on that journey. One of my dear friends, our next door neighbor, he actually reached out to me on Facebook, Freddie Lewis. And Freddie was so instrumental in helping us play wiffle ball, which we had no idea what wiffle ball was, but in Wilkes-Barre, you play wiffle ball. And at the same time, he also talked about playing with the mini Mohawks. My childhood hero growing up was the legendary Heisman Trophy winner and Houston Oilers tailback, the great Hall of Famer, Earl Campbell. He wore the jersey number 34. And so Freddie, my brother, and I, we were going to the mini Mohawks sign up, and the coaches was like, what's your name? And I was like, well, my name is Kadri. Quadri? No. There's no you in my name, just Kadri. So I had to figure out the best way so people could remember my name. It's GQ. So GQ became my nickname. To the point where, let's fast forward to today. People, my family, my friends from the Wyoming Valley, anytime I'm walking, and it could be, I remember after games, I'd be in stadiums, and all of a sudden, you're walking in, kind of have tunnel vision, you're not really listening to the crowd. JQ! They know me. I will stop and say hello. The Wyoming Valley, we're family. We get a chance to speak plain with one another. And with that said, came the opportunity to wear jersey number 34, and a childhood dream, a little boy was able to play and wear the jersey number 34 and be like his childhood idol, Earl Campbell. But with that, there are so many people that I would love to thank, but in the broader scope of it all, there are those that really were instrumental in my development as a young man, and I want to honor those people today. My family, first and foremost, my inner sanctuary, if you will, my 3 children. There's nothing like being a father. There's nothing like having an older daughter and my 2 boys, but when she gives me a hug, it's amazing and it's special. My son, Kadri, and my youngest, Kadir, they both stand taller than me at 6'5" and 6'6", respectively. My daughter, she's actually 6'1", so she stands a little bit taller than me, too. But I'm like, don't you dare, I will give you a hug. Sometimes they just think that they're too big, but they're not. Hugs are unlimited from Father. With that said, I want to give thanks to my sister and my sister-in-law, my niece and my nephew, who are representing the entire Ismail clan of nieces and nephews. They're just such awesome and talented young people who fill my life up with joy, and I love watching them do their thing. My sister, we have this running joke that I say all the time, and I'm saying it before y'all because y'all family too, but my sister took me to a rated R horror movie that lives in my mind forever. Scared the hell out of me then and now. Dawn of the Dead. Scariest movie of all time ever. My sister was like, yeah, that's right. Well, yeah, the nightmares still reign, but I love you. I am so incredibly thankful for my family. When it comes to athletic career, there is this love affair that I have for track and field. And track has given me pretty much everything. It's given me my confidence. It's given me the opportunity to share my personality. Football, Coach Gorm, let me just say this football story real quick, and then I'm going to go back to track. Football and Coach Gorm, the legendary Myers High School coach, was so critical in my football development. But one time I was on a ski trip, and Raghib came home, and Raghib was like, "Hey, Kadri, man, I think you need to go start working out." He's talking about, man, I'm going on a ski trip, man, with the skiers. He goes, "Yeah, Coach Gorham said, hey, Rocket, what's G doing?" He didn't say GQ, just call me G. No problem. "G, what's G doing?" I was like, okay, what'd you tell him? He goes, "Man, I told him you was on a ski trip." I was like, "Why'd you say that?" He goes, "Skiing, tell him if he don't get his butt in the weight room, he's gonna be an offensive lineman." Scared the heck out of me? Bam, I'm in the weight room working out. With track and field, you don't have the pressure of all that testosterone up in there. You don't got the Darryl Boyches who are seniors up there talking about some, "Hey, come over here, freshman. We're going to teach you how to lift." And then your brother going up there, him and Darryl Boych up there squatting 315. I'm like, bruh, I'm not putting 315 pounds on my back. With track and field, it's co-ed. Quick story. Myers High School hosted the district meet, girls and boys. The boys, since we were the second meet, had to volunteer. The Myers track team had the volunteers for the girls meet. Well, I'm sitting there, co-ed. I had to run the scores back and forth from the timers table over to the official scores table. Shout out to Mr. Chedinik. At the same time, I'm sitting there on the ground, just waiting there on the Myers turf, and all of a sudden, two young ladies come up next to me. "Oh, hey, girls, how y'all doing?" "Yeah." Bam, by the time I'm done, there's about 5, 6 girls around me just sitting there. We're just having a great time. Track and field, co-ed. Here's what happens when you have an older brother who is dead serious about everything back then. "Kadri, what are you doing? Get up, we gotta go." "Rocket, the moment is now." There's a special man that is in this room today, and from a track and field aspect of things, he and another gentleman who, rest in peace, James Cross, AKA Boss, was so instrumental in helping me find my passion and find my love for sprinting and running. And that's, I want to give honor to fellow inductee now, and my guy, Coach Paul McGrain. Quick story about Coach McGrain. Coach McGrain was ruthless on them Saturday workouts. I have been coaching track and field for, I don't know, a decade and a half right now, and literally I tell this story to all of the athletes that have come before me, and they, sit there, "Coach, how good were you? Were you fast? You probably weren't really that good. You probably was one of those guys who just was lazy." I was like, "Bruh, let me bust out my resume here with you. You don't know." So I'll go ahead and pull out the resume, explain it to them. But I tell them this, that there is the workout that we called the Mohawk, AKA the McGrain. It is 4 600s, 4 300s, and 4 200s. Now, I'm not talking about those 600s because they were hard, lactic acid built up. Those 4 300s, sure, we're gonna do it. But when you got a dude who's your brother, who's fast, mother of pearl, those 200s were killer. Raghib would be like, "All right, well, let's go ahead and run these 200s. And we run these 200s, we're dying. But because of Coach McGrain, because of his ability to push us, to get the best out of us, we had the opportunity to represent Myers not once, but twice as a team, as the state champions for the PIAA double A champions representing District 2. And with that, we solidified not only ourselves as Myers, but also representing District 2 as a state champion in 1987 and 1988. Darryl, good looking out on helping your younger brother as well. Brad Boych was critical in his, Coach McGrain, his second place finish in the javelin. Those are critical points. We actually still have the state record for the 66 total team points in PIAA history. So shout out to all those that were able to participate and help us with track and field, but a special shout out to you, Coach McGrain. Adam Zucker. He represents the media here, and for me, I look at whether it be the Times leader, and rest in peace, Jerry Keller or Paul Sokolowski, or the Citizens Voice writers and Phil Ganaficaro, or the Sunday Independent writers, and the way in which they covered us. I tell you what, this place is so special, and the love that they have for the local sports people and the different rivals that were formulated, whether it be GAR and Garbage, Ashes, and Rubbish, or Coughlin and the Crusaders that really weren't crusading around, but we were whooping up on them. Go Mohawks. With that said, though, I am so appreciative because from an academic aspect of things, I have spent, while yes, I've had a beautiful athletic career, but plan B was always to be in front of the camera and speak and do television and radio, and it would not have happened if it weren't for people like Sid Michaels and people like Jim Miller, who were WBRE, who were always showing up to all the different events, and really want to say thank you and a special shout out to them as well. Now here's where I'm trying to hold back from an emotional aspect of things, but there's one person I think really, for me, coming from Newark, New Jersey, and some of the educational challenges that I had, there's a special person in this room that kind of represents the Wyoming Valley from the teaching element of it all. And really, I don't think, I know Frank and the rest of us, we can all attest to, just what it meant to have such special teachers influence us and help us along the way. My heart and love and affinity for all the schools, and all kidding aside, but whether it be, it's Wilkes-Barre area now. So let's just say the Wolf Pack, or whether it be Joe Blannett, and I'm sure you have a high affinity for all the people at Wyoming Valley West and Nanacoke and Lake Lehman and Dallas. Dallas, you need to cut your grass. And Dallas, those that you know. Yeah, we haven't forgotten. Is Ted Jackson in this Hall of Fame? Okay, what? No. With that said, literally, Mrs. Marguerite Latensky. So, those of you who have played collegiate football, the NCAA at that time had set up a pathway for people to gain acceptance in, and part of it was the SAT. Again, from the challenges aspect of things, here is this boy, he's in 8th grade. He's sitting there with his classmates, and in homeroom 8-4, there's a teacher, she's sitting there. The other teacher had a sabbatical, so she's sitting in for him. We get our report cards, and I'm looking at everybody's report card around me, and they all had the one letter. I'm like, mother of pearl, that looks awesome. They got A's. Oh, wow, huh. Guy in front of me, Jeff Namey, I think he's a surgeon now. Jennifer DeSoy, I think she was a law graduate. Tom Karpovich, I believe he went into some professional field that was awesome. I have my boy Sean Foley sitting behind me. I think he's like a doctor of physical therapy now. And just some bright-minded people. And I'm looking at my report card, I'm like, oh, okay, all right, okay, I got a variety of letters. It's the rainbow. Yeah, there's a couple of colors on here and little things. Oh boy, whoo. Mrs. Latensky, when you have a person believing in you, you just sit back and recognize that person. And Mrs. Latensky didn't flinch. She was like, oh, Kadri, you just need to apply yourself. She set me up with, my brother and I up with Mr. Frassini, our guidance counselor. And I think that conversation that he brought in Paul Lott and the Lott family was just such a beautiful and very prominent black family here in the community. Mr. Frassini brings Paul into the office. Paul was getting an academic scholarship to Harvard. Paul talked to us and was just playing about it. He didn't like talk over us, talked with us. And he was just talking about how you need to just apply yourself and start taking some college prep courses, and everything is going to work itself out. So I started doing that. The letters started kind of going up. Wasn't that one letter A all the time, but it was going up, and at the same time got me an opportunity to be recruited pretty much the entire East Coast from that aspect of things. I had to qualify for the SAT. When I have podcasts nowadays, when I talk anything back, when it talks about Wyoming Valley, it never goes unsaid that Mrs. Marguerite Latinsky, who, when I'm in track season and my pride is on the line and I'm like, oh my God, I'm too embarrassed to talk about anything, here comes Mrs. Latinsky, goes, Kadri, I'm going to tutor you for the SAT. And you're going to come over to my house after every practice, every track meet, and Phil, my husband, he is going to pick you up and make sure you come on over. And it started with week 1 all the way through, and as much as I love track and all the successes, it was going over Mrs. Latinsky's house. It was sitting in front of that Microsoft DOS-looking computer. It was going through all the different books and talking about the different understandings of the words and how they can be synonymous, the synonyms, the antonyms, all of the different verbiage, how to go ahead and formulate everything. And then me sitting there on my porch in 17 Ray Street and looking at the SAT score and saying to myself, mother of pearl, am I going to be able to qualify? Opened it up, and if I had a cell phone, I guess I would have been FaceTiming her, Mrs. Latinsky, look. But I sat there and I must have counted it about 6 or 7 times, and finally I looked and I was like, wow, I have an 850. My minimum qualifying before that was 680. So her tutelage helped me get into Syracuse. Without the grace, without the love, without the dedication of Mrs. Latinsky and all those that she represented here in the Wyoming Valley, I am a graduate, a proud Syracuse alum. I am sitting here on the shoulders of those who came before me, and if it wasn't for the Mrs. Latinskys of the world, man, shout out to all the teachers and all the people here in the Valley who cared enough for all the kids and all the people who had their issues but saw something through them to get them to their goal that they needed to get to. So thank you, Mrs. Latinsky. I'm telling you this, there is the inner court of your life. You have that inner court, that persons that kind of see you and, just see you in your rawest form. And sometimes it's ugly, sometimes it's cool and all that. Frank, what I appreciated about you was that, you had this desire and this, someone caught your eye. It was the pizza loving girl. We didn't even know your name, girl. All we knew was the pizza loving girl. Man, I'm telling you, it was special, and I want to give a special shout out to my family, my second family, the people who just meant the entire world to me, who helped me grow from a young boy into the man that you see before you today, and that are the Conways. They're inviting me into their home, their joy, their inquisitiveness. When young Malcolm, now Dr. Malcolm Conway Jr., but when Shannon and I, we'd be sitting there having our long conversations about life and music and art and just hanging out and all of that and just inviting me in and welcoming me in. But there is Mary, who is like a second mom to me. When I got drafted, I'm sitting around, the table up in Mountaintop, and I'm hugging everybody. And I get to Mary, and all of a sudden I just hug her, and I'm starting to break down crying. And I'm like, man, why am I sitting here crying so much? It's because Mary was that person where, yes, I have a brother that I am absolutely proud of. I have the best older brother that anybody can ever have, and yes, his name is Ragib. He is the rocket. He is the Ismail that I am like, wow. In my mind, he could have just done no wrong as far as what he did. He would motivate me when it came to me trying to be the best football player I can be. I used to watch his video highlights to get myself motivated to play. When you have someone like that, that is just unbelievable and just what he has meant to me. When it came to the outside persons, yes, there was a time where there was a shadow of my brother looming large over me. There was that pressure that, what do I do? How do I do? Man, I am doubting myself. But there was always Mary with the kind word, with the strategic, hey, let's go ahead and go shopping. Woohoo, shout out. There was the opportunity to be fed. Man, Mary, you can cook. And I mean, I ate well. It was awesome and it was amazing. But her love, her hugs, her always encouraging me, her always being there for me, I am forever in debt, and I am forever grateful for all that you had meant to me as a person. Thank you. There are men in your life that you look at and you model after. Again, one of those men were Paul McGrain. There was a gentleman, his name is Robert McLeod. Mr. McLeod, who you guys don't know, he was a gentleman who would come over to my grandmother's house, and he would bring his son Nathan and his twin sisters, and they would sit back and we'd be hanging out and we'd enjoy one another's company. And Mr. McLeod was a phenomenal barber, and he would be cutting my brothers and my hair, and it was just unbelievable. With all that said, he gave us that kind of inner confidence and that swagger. His son Nathan is in the room today, and I want to honor you as what you've meant to us as family. Dr. Conway, you've heard his name spoken before with other persons that were up here, and I want to give just an amazing shout out to him. In so many ways, he's been every step of the way in my life. When I was up at Syracuse and needed to kind of vent and figure out when am I going to play or why am I going to play, you know, he was always straightforward with me. He was like, well, you just need to work harder, and you're going to do that. And we're going to take you, when the off season comes, we're going to take you to another level, and you're going to be able to go out and work out and be that person that you desire to be. And he was always so just dead on with me. I'll never forget this particular story that has always stood out. Dr. Conway and I, we were sitting there. My brother was scheduled to be the top draft pick in the NFL draft. He was also being courted by the Toronto Argonauts of the CFL, and the world was abuzz with the Rocket. And I just finished my spring game. Sure enough, here's Dr. Conway. Doc was watching me in my game. I'm thinking, man, I had a great spring game. I should be able to start the whole 9 yards. Here is iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. Here's where, for those of you who are in here, for those of you who are part of the sacrifices of all of us that are in the hall, that we've been inducted into, for all of those sacrifices that you've all made, know this, here's my hit you against the eyes of reality and make you continue to realize that your job is not done yet. Doc looked at me, we were driving, and I was like, yeah, Doc, you know, I'm feeling myself because I'm thinking I had a great spring game. Oh, yeah. I was like, Doc, man, I'm ready. Yeah, you know, okay. Doc has a way of being quiet, analyzes his thoughts, and just hits you right between the eyes. He goes, Kadri, your brother is a threat every time he touches the ball. Every time he touches the ball, that's what everybody is looking at, him being a threat. Aren't I a threat? Can I do something? Doc didn't say anything. He didn't need to say anything. From that point forward, I was like, game on. Here we go. I am not a two-sport All-American at Syracuse. I don't get a chance to put my name against the all-time of all times at Syracuse and the legendary Jim Brown. I don't sit back and say, all the accomplishments that I was able to accomplish as a professional, had it not been for my mentor, my best friend, my companion, the man who has meant so much to me, and Malcolm Law Conway. Thank you, Doc, for all that you've done for me. We have a wonderful class. I want to honor those that came up before me to speak. I want to honor those that are going to come after me to speak. I want to say thank you to all of you who have shown up and supported all of us that are up here. We thank you. I thank the Wyoming Valley. I thank Luzerne County Hall of Fame for honoring me and allowing me to be with some of the pantheons, some of the greats. Kim McGuire, one of the greatest of all time that ever walked the halls of Myers. Just awesome, awesome person. Go Mohawks. Shout out. Love you guys, and thank you so much for being my family. Thank you.
When you look for the heart of a team, the intangibles of a selflessness, a strong work ethic, and the ability to lead by example are pivotal. This young lady epitomizes all of those virtues. Again, I had a front row seat to watch her meticulously dissect her opponent's perceived skills. This led her team to the first state field hockey championship at Wyoming Valley West. She groomed those traits and became one of the most prolific players in Bucknell Bison history. She has placed her name into their program history by maintaining records which are still unsurpassed to this day. When you know someone has the it factor, it was evident from the first time she picked up a stick and stepped onto the pitch. I present for induction into the Luzerne County Sports Hall of Fame, Ms. Amanda Faust.
Good evening, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, first and foremost, I have to thank the Luzerne County Hall of Fame Committee for their time and consideration. Thank you for this incredible honor. Thank you to Mr. Jim Martin for his countless hours of hard work and dedication to the Luzerne County Hall of Fame mission. I would also like to congratulate the other inductees. You have all worked so hard and truly earned this recognition. It is an honor to be a part of the 2024 Hall of Fame class with you. Tonight, I stand before you humbled and grateful beyond words. This moment represents the culmination of hours of hard work, perseverance, and the unwavering support of those who believed in me. I have to thank my mom, Charlene. Thank you for everything. If it wasn't for my mom, I would have never played field hockey. Growing up, I loved playing every single sport. There wasn't one that I didn't want to try. That is, until I learned about field hockey. My field hockey career started in 7th grade and got off to a rough start. I didn't get a minute of playing time, but I didn't ask my mom to quit. That's because you can't quit something you never started, and because I skipped my physical on purpose, I was ineligible. Despite this serious setback at the beginning of my career, my mom never gave up on me. If she hadn't pushed me, literally pushed me out the door to my 8th grade physical, I wouldn't be where I am today. Thank you to my stepdad, Jimmy. Jimmy loved field hockey so much that he decided to spend his milestone 40th birthday at the PA State Championship game. Let's be honest though, Jimmy didn't have a choice. Thank you, Jimmy, for driving me to all my field hockey events, even though you would drive 50 and a 65 every time we tried to play the rhyming game. Thank you to my older sister, Erica, who I grew up with playing every single sport except field hockey. Even though she didn't know how to play, it didn't stop her from joining me in the yard from time to time. Her favorite drill was hitting field hockey balls at me like they were softballs. While this probably wasn't the safest drill or most effective, it definitely helped me develop my reaction time. Lou Mundy, who has always been there in my corner rooting for me. I owe Lou for getting my career back on track after sustaining a serious, persistent injury. If it wasn't for Lou, I wouldn't have gotten the proper treatment that I needed to get back on the field. To my high school coaches, Coach Fithian and Coach Webb, I want to thank them for seeing my potential and working with me to secure a spot on a starting position on the 2003 state championship team. If it wasn't for the success of our state championship field hockey team, I would have never been introduced to Division I recruiting opportunities. I have to thank my coach, Jeremy Cook. Jeremy helped me start and end my Bucknell field hockey career. As my high school club coach, Jeremy refined my skills, improved my field sense, and took my career to the next level. As my senior year college coach, he continued to develop my game and coach me to my greatest accomplishments. My Bucknell field hockey coach and second mother, Heather Lewis. One of the first and biggest impacts Heather had on my life was how she handled my official visit. Bucknell was my first of 4 visits. At the end of my visit, I told Heather how much I loved Bucknell and wanted to commit. Heather encouraged me to take all of my visits so I could make an informed decision. My first mother, Charlene, thought that Bucknell was the correct decision because I couldn't stop talking about how much I love the food. Receiving this type of guidance from Heather before being a part of the program spoke volumes to me. Because of this, I knew I was making the right decision to join her program. Lastly, I would like to thank my grandfather, Pop, for being my biggest fan. He has captured every moment of my athletic career in a series of scrapbooks. Pop, you've always wanted this for me. I'm so happy we get to celebrate this moment together. I know this honor will be the last page of my scrapbook. However, that won't stop you from making at least 5 more copies of that scrapbook, or taking 10 copies of the programs from tonight. So everyone make sure that you hold on to them, otherwise my grandfather's taking them all. Once again, I want to thank the Luzerne County Hall of Fame Committee for this incredible honor. Congratulations to my fellow Hall of Fame class inductees, and thank you to all friends, family, coaches, teammates, for joining us tonight to celebrate. We would not be here today if it wasn't for your support. Thank you so much.
You would not want to get in front of a ball she hit. She was clocked at 72 miles an hour hitting a ball. That will take your head off. Start the countdown. 10, 9, 8. We have liftoff. This is an analogy of what the Wyoming Valley was able to witness during the local career of our next inductee. He made what was considered impossible, probable. A crease, a seam, a blink, and he was gone. Too small to start, he was a giant when it mattered. He too excelled in track and field, bringing Myers High School state titles that can never be erased. His collegiate career saw him attain every award possible. Heisman Trophy runner-up, Walter Camp, to name a few. Sports Illustrated cover boy, twice. Speed unmatched and agility you couldn't believe with your own eyes. We're glad that we were able to provide him with the opportunity again to share this day with his brother. I present for induction to the Luzerne County Sports Hall of Fame, Raghib the Rocket Ismail.
So proud of you. Thank you, man. All right, thank you so much. My brother talked in a very heartfelt way about all the people that are at our table currently, from Mrs. Latinsky, my sister, her husband, my wife, my youngest daughter, the Conways, Nathan McLeod, Coach McGrain and his wife, my boy Demetrius, Don, and my nephew, Ibrahim Ismail, named after my father. And in the book, in the program, I thank everybody that I can remember that played a significant role in my life in there. So I want to just share something with you. And it first starts with reminding you of who you are. Everyone in this room, under the sound of my voice, even those in the back who may be enjoying some firewater and can't hear me right now. I want to remind you that you are the light. And you're so significant. I remember when we first moved here, we were Muslims at the time. My grandmother loved the Lord and was adamant about us learning about the kingdom of God. And I remember there was a scripture, Genesis chapter 1, that every time you hear it moving forward, I want you to touch your heart and say, that's me. The world was in such a chaotic state. Darkness ruled what was the earth. There was a declaration by the Most High God that was declared to be the answer, the remedy, and solution for the overabundance of darkness. And that declaration was, let there be light. Every last one of you, I now know, are significant factors and contributors to that light. I benefit, my brother benefits, my family, our families benefit because you as a valley chose to shine your light. It doesn't matter how big or small the act of shining your light is. What matters is that you're willing to shine your light. So I want to remind you and commend you at the same time for shining your light. Your light shines to such a capacity that a 77-year-old woman was able to have the strength to communicate with my mother after my father died and say, hey, I live in a safe place. Send my grandsons here so that they could have an opportunity to shine their light. So they can be in an environment where people every day shine their light. I want to remind you that you bear that light. And I want to simultaneously thank you for choosing to shine your light. As I was reflecting on just that, I thought of one moment that is far off the radar, but was really significant to me. One of the reasons that you have to shine your light is because of the darkness. And the darkness, the opposition, they know you're coming. And so they are at all times plotting, strategizing, trying to figure out a way to distract you, to discourage you, to deceive you. One such moment, freshman year, I'm at Notre Dame. I actually come home before we go to the bowl game, and I go to a house party that had a bunch of Mohawks there. And man, we're enjoying ourselves. It was so good to see everybody. We're reminiscing about old times and things that matter to us. And all of a sudden, I'm sitting there and a guy comes in, and as he comes to the front door, everybody's like, hey, so-and-so. And then he looks at me and he said, who invited this guy? But he used some other choice words that shocked me and embarrassed me simultaneously. And man, I was confused. It hit me so, it like caught me off guard. And all of a sudden I started feeling discouraged. All of a sudden I didn't feel so safe. All of a sudden I was like, wait, this is not supposed to happen. And what reminded me of it is I saw Darryl Boych. Because all of us, man, Boych is so smooth. Boych stepped to him, hey. And then on the other side, Jima Faye stepped to him, hey man, we don't want to beat you down. This is what their actions were saying because they were coming to my defense. They were like, we don't want to beat you down, but we're going to go to have to talk to you. And they removed this cat, not forcefully, but they had a tight grip on him, and they moved him to another room and had a conversation with him. And that is shining your light. That is who you are. That is what you represent. And I want to say, in spite of the obstacles, in spite of the inundation of getting news daily that tells you that evil is winning, that tells you that that which is contrary to life and love is prevailing, don't ever forget to shine your light. Don't ever let them make you believe that evil is winning. Just because something is true does not mean it's the whole truth. And the whole truth is that you represent answers, remedies, and solutions to every issue that you will ever face, or your neighbor will ever face, or those in far-off lands will ever face, when you choose to shine your light. Please, as we go from this place, don't ever forget that. Don't ever tolerate or accept anything less than that who you are. Never. This table right here represents a microcosm of a prayer answered. I remember we were on 17 Race Street. It was spring break. My mother, so you could make long distance phone calls, would send a long distance calling card. And I would call the phone booth in front of our home in Newark, New Jersey. And when I called the phone booth, one of our friends picked up and he started giving a report of what was happening in Newark. I think we were 2 years removed, a year and a half, 2 years removed, something like that. He called, when I talked to him, he started telling me, hey, there's this thing called crack cocaine, and ever since it came on the scene, all that is evil, malicious, murderous, it seems like it's escalated. And he's telling me just one bad thing after another, and as he's telling me this on the phone, in my heart, I ask God this question: how did we make it out of that? We weren't even the cream of the crop in that neighborhood, but how did we make it out of that against those type of odds? And I'm telling you, as I just told you earlier, you represent an answer to prayers made many years ago. All of a sudden, I am in a field easily the size of this room. I look all around me. I'm in my natural body on the phone, but then the rest of my body is in a whole nother place. I look up and the sky is the most crystal blue I've ever seen. The field is lined on all four sides with these massive, majestic, what were evergreen trees. I look at the ground, and the ground is like you till the soil before you plant the seed. And all of a sudden, I noticed there was this old black woman on her knees in a posture of prayer. I couldn't hear anything she was saying, but I'm standing to her right, and it was like I traveled back in time, because all of a sudden I knew everything about her. And I knew that when I made the prayer in my heart, while on the phone, bewildered by what I'm hearing from a place that I was supposed to be in that is being attacked from an assignment from hell, all of a sudden, I knew that whatever she was praying, my brothers and I were sent to a place that was prepared divinely to protect us, to cultivate us, to develop and mature us, and give us the best opportunity in a fallen world to shine our light. And you can't, hear me, you can't do that on your own. You have to be in an environment where that is cultivated. And that's why I'm here to tell you, don't forget who you are. When you leave this place, I can tell you as a fact, when I was 27 years old, I all of a sudden realized, hey, I'm not really as fast as I used. What kind of torture is this? I'm still in my 20s and I'm not that fast anymore. What the savage? I'm here to tell you, money. I was money, fame, notoriety. Hey, all those things will pass away. But you choosing to tap in to your divine self and shine your light is the reason that the Most High God sent us here. And I am thankful to God. I am thankful to you, thankful to your committee, and I am thankful to everybody at my table. All of you are vastly significant in my life and in the generations that will come from me and my house forever. Don't ever forget it. When you get up from your table today, every once in a while, remind yourself to shine your light because we desperately need it. God bless you. Thank you for this very prestigious award, and I love you all. Shine your light. Don't ever stop. Shine your light.
Endurance is defined by the ability to sustain a prolonged stressful effort or activity. This next athlete epitomizes this statement in every sense. He is truly the measure by which others set their pace. Successful at every level and method of competition, it's his career that provides the viewer with an appreciation for his endurance. Overcoming injury is no stranger to the competitive athlete, but to rehabilitate to a level that you can resume and better your position is inspiring. National and international swim, bike, and run. Most of us have difficulty doing one successfully. This inductee challenges himself and others to find their level of endurance. I present for induction into the Luzerne County Sports Hall of Fame, Mr. Sean Robbins.
Okay, now you guys expect me to follow that? Come on. That was first class, huh? That was great. Well, I want to say that I'm deeply honored to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, especially with this class of athletes. And I want to congratulate my fellow inductees on not only being inducted tonight, but on all of their athletic accomplishments. There are some impressive resumes in this room, and I am deeply humbled to be inducted with them. I want to also thank the Hall of Fame for selecting me, and I want to take a minute and acknowledge the rich 40-year history they have of not only recognizing the performances of athletes, but in all the volunteer and community work that they do. It's truly a tremendous organization, and I'm honored to be recognized by them. And I also want to take a minute and thank Jim Martin. For all the athletes in the room, Jim was our point of contact throughout the whole process. And there is a tremendous amount of work that goes into putting this on. And I know this is a labor of love for Jim. And I know I probably drove him nuts at times, getting him everything he needed from me. So, Jim, I want to thank you for all your hard work and your patience as well. Thanks a lot. But above all, tonight is about an opportunity for me to thank my family and friends for all of my support, for all of their support over a 30-year career that I've had. There isn't an athlete in here who would tell you that they could have achieved their goals on their own, because that's simply not possible. It's family and friends that are critical to that equation. And I think all too often, those family and friends don't necessarily appreciate the significance of the role they play in an athlete's success. And in the day-to-day, I think that message is not conveyed frequently enough or clearly enough. And that is certainly the case with me. I'm incredibly fortunate to have the team of family and friends that I've had. And if there's any doubt about the strength of that team, there's over 40 of them who have come here tonight, given up their time to spend this night with me, and I am deeply humbled by that. I could tell you stories about each one of them individually and how they played a role in how I got to this podium. But I'm pretty sure Jim's got a hook back here somewhere, and he'd yank me right off the stage. And I do want to thank my good friend Steve Tarrin, my much better half, Jeannie Zakowski, and my mom for assembling this group and getting them all here together. And I want to thank this group for coming out. Thank you so much. So, for my friends, I want to thank you for all your support, for the literally thousands of miles we've shared together, for the countless conversations we've had, and for the unforgettable memories. May there be many, many, many more of them. For my family, my mom, my dad, my sister, my nephew, my aunt and my uncle, my cousin, who have been in my corner and supporting me every step of the way at countless races over the years. I simply don't have the words to express my gratitude and appreciation for all you've done for me. And I would not be standing here without you. That's especially true for my mom and my dad. They've been my biggest supporters since I started this journey in the early 1990s. I can't even believe I'm saying that, but the early 1990s, when they bought me my first bike. And I don't know what that bike cost, but it was worth it. They followed me around this group from small races all over Pennsylvania to big stages in Lake Placid, New York, Las Vegas, Nevada, Quebec, Canada, Lausanne, Switzerland, Kona, Hawaii. And when they couldn't be there in person, they made sure I knew they were thinking about me. Give us a call when you're done. Let us know how you made out. And half the time, they'd beat me to the finish line. I'd get back and there'd be a voicemail on my phone, just checking in, making sure you made out okay. And that'd be the first call I'd make. In 2011, I lost my dad. And he was one of my biggest supporters. He was instrumental in my getting here and my success as an athlete. And even though he's not physically in the room, I know he's wearing an Ironman t-shirt and he's watching me right now. So thanks, Dad. Simply put, I wouldn't have had the career that I've had without the family and friends that I have. And I certainly wouldn't be standing here in front of you without them. I owe them a debt of gratitude that I simply can't repay. There's one more thing I want to say, and that is, I was never, unlike most of the people that stand up at this podium, I was not a rock star athlete in high school or college. I played soccer and lacrosse at SEM, and I was okay. I didn't light up the stats charts. So I just want to say my success came much later. And I just want to say to all the coaches out there and the family members out there and even all the young athletes out there, don't forget those athletes, or don't lose sight of those athletes who may not be the best on the team. Teach them fundamentals. Teach them hard work. Teach them discipline. Teach them the value of competition. Above all, teach them humility and teach them sportsmanship. Because you never know when one of them someday might end up standing up at a podium like this because of what you taught them. That's all I got. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
I can attest to the quality of his workmanship. We sponsor the overall winner awards for the Back Mountain Triathlon. And he's not a rock star. When he's coming through the crowd, it just explodes, and all you hear is the cheering for him as he goes past you. Citius, Altius, Fortius. Faster, higher, stronger. This motto truly reflects the essence of our USA Winter Olympian. What started as a blind trial for this young athlete turned into a passion that would have him circumnavigate the globe competing. 2 Olympic berths and multiple world championships later, this young man is sharing his passion by being the head coach of the USA Youth National Luge Team and the head coach for the 2024 Youth Olympic Games to be held in South Korea. This goes without saying. Always trust your mom. She will guide you to your right path. I present for induction into the Luzerne County Sports Hall of Fame, Mr. Jason Turderman.
Good evening. I'm going to go off the script for 1 second. I haven't done this in a while. It's a large group of people. Show of hands, who knows what luge is? 50-50. All right, that's actually pretty good. Yeah, it's probably people saw a few things. Yeah, not a widely known sport. We're a very niche sport. I tell you what, I got to be 12 years old for a very long time. It took me all around the world, like Jim said. It's truly a blessing. I'd like to start today by just thanking everybody for being here to help us celebrate not just myself, but the other 11 inductees and the honorees from tonight. Some truly incredible stories out here, some truly great athletes, and I'm honored to be a part of this group. It's an honor to be standing before you and sharing this moment. It's a culmination of dreams, hard work, and unwavering support. I want to express my deepest gratitude to the people who have been the pillars of my journey, my parents, my beloved wife, and the wonderful community of Berwick, Pennsylvania, and Northeast PA. First and foremost, I owe everything to my parents, maybe a little more to my mom than my dad on this one. If you read through the book, I found luge by pure circumstance and luck. My mother was at work one day and saw a flyer, and I was sixth grader coming home from school, and hey, you want to go try luge next week in Syracuse, New York? What's luge? From NEPA. What is luge? I don't really know, but the kid on the poster looked like they were having a good time. Sure, let's do it. 23 years later. It's pretty crazy. Mom, Dad. Mom and Dad, your relentless support and unwavering belief in my Olympic dreams have been the bedrock of my journey. From the long drives to and from Lake Placid to drop me off for development camps, to being with me in both Sochi and Pyeongchang, you were always there, ensuring I had the best training, the best equipment, and the best opportunities. You sacrificed so much to ensure I could chase my dreams, and words cannot express my gratitude. You taught me the values of hard work, dedication, and perseverance. When I would doubt myself, you were the ones who would remind me how far I've come and how far I still had to go. Your love and belief in me have been my greatest motivation. Thank you for being my biggest fans and my greatest role models. To my wonderful wife, Jillian, your support has been my anchor, especially after my career transition from the competitive world of sports to become a coach. You've been my rock, my confidant, and my biggest cheerleader. The shift from working towards being the best in the world to trying to help the next generation be the best versions of themselves has not been easy, but you've stood by me every step of the way. Your patience, understanding, and encouragement gave me the strength to navigate this new chapter. You helped me find new passions and new goals, and you reminded me that there is life beyond luge. Your love has been my greatest source of strength, and I am eternally grateful for your unwavering support and belief in me. I love you too. To the community of Berwick, Pennsylvania, and the greater NEPA area, you've been the foundation and inspiration for me. Growing up in this wonderful area, I was surrounded by people who believed in me and supported me unconditionally. From my coaches and teachers, from my friends to my neighbors, you all played a crucial role in my journey. The sense of community and the spirit of togetherness in Berwick has always been a source of strength for me. Yeah, I didn't play football, but you all learned what luge was in 2014. Your support and encouragement have been invaluable, and I am proud to have represented the community and our country on the global stage. Thank you for believing in me and for being a constant source of inspiration. As I stand here today, I'm reminded of the countless hours of training, the victories and the setbacks, the unwavering support of my loved ones and this community. This journey has not been easy, but it has been incredibly rewarding. I'm grateful to have had all of you by my side. Your love and support have been my greatest motivation, and I'm honored to share this moment with all of you. Thank you.
On to our second Olympian of the evening. Northeastern Pennsylvania is the hotbed for field hockey in the United States. There's no question about that. One of the pioneers that implemented this successful growth was Elvetta Gemsky from Crestwood, along with our State Hall of Famer Karen Klasner. A storied program which produced our next inductee, a state champion, an All-American at the University of Maryland, a USA National Team selection. This summer Olympian was able to see firsthand and experience representing your country on the world stage, being part of the contingent and ready to serve if called upon. USA, USA, USA. I present for induction into the Luzerne County Sports Hall of Fame, Ms. Sarah Silvetti. You still got it, huh? Still got some wheels going on there, bro.
At last, my speech has come along. Hi, everyone. What a celebration today is. First and foremost, congratulations to my fellow 40th annual inductees. It has been a pleasure meeting each of you, and I am honored to be a teammate with you from now on. Thank you so much to the Luzerne County Sports Hall of Fame for the countless hours you spent honoring and organizing this event. You are selfless individuals that love sports and hardworking people. You are my kind of people. What a class act, and thank you for the induction and wonderful evening. Thank you to my family and friends who are here today at tables 22 and 23 in the back. I love and appreciate you. Thank you for the time that you took out from your Sunday. Thank you to my University of Maryland and United States National Field Hockey Team families. I was blessed with two of those teammates here today, and they're my muses and my role models, past, present, and future, and they continue to make me laugh until tears run down my legs. I was nominated, speaking of role models and muses, I was nominated by someone who gave me my start in field hockey. Her name has already been mentioned. She was the inventor, owner, and operator of the Big Red Machine, which is the Crestwood varsity field hockey team. She was a three-sport athlete in college and is a member of the Luzerne County and the PA State Sports Hall of Fame, which we already spoke about, and her name is Coach Elvetta Gemsky. She taught me the basic skills of a game that I fell in love with and played until I was 28. Now at 29, wink, wink, I can really acknowledge that learning the proper techniques were the skills to my success. But Coach Gemsky also knew when to allow us to have intense dance parties before big games to let out nervous energy, or when to give us these plastic sticks with big nets on the top, which were lacrosse sticks, but in the late 90s in northeastern PA, we did not know what that was. But she would bring them out in postseason because, you know, it became a little monotonous during that time, and we would go out there and muck around and have a wonderful time. I'll never forget those moments. She was our workhorse, our leader with innate savvy of how to win and compete. No one does it alone. She had a great support staff. Patsy Moratori, who is also here today, was her assistant coach at the time, and I have much to thank her for as well. She taught me how to be more coachable because we all know when you're 16, you know everything. Patsy, you also taught me how to fill any role that my team needed, which was extremely important as a redshirt freshman in college or an Olympic alternate in Beijing. It isn't all about you, it's about the team. Thank you both for the memories, your time, and your knowledge. I have to thank my dad for always encouraging me to work out. I'll never forget riding my bike alongside him while he jogged every inch of Berwick. He taught me the way around any weight room, and sure, he told me that exercise was for your body, but more importantly, for your mind. I love how he always reminds me how proud he is of me and that I'm a feather in his cap. Thank you, Dad, and I love you. To my older brother, Rico, thank you for making me ruthless, aggressive, and gritty. We fought all the time. I mean, competed, played every sport known to man growing up, and I had a great childhood. Thank you for making me a better person, and I am so proud of the man and father you are today. I love you, bro. I have to thank the love of my life for the past 17 years, Carrie. Carrie was voted captain of her Division I volleyball team the second semester of her freshman year. That's mind-blowing. Let that sink in. I was honored to be co-captain my junior and senior years at the University of Maryland, but who gets voted captain while a freshman and then remains the leader until graduation? She does. She's a natural-born leader who gives and gives and gives. She is one of the hardest workers I've ever met, and I know lots of Olympians people. She can build almost anything with her two hands and can also organize all the things with grace and efficiency. I love working with you every day, and you are the best teammate I've ever had. I also have to thank her mom, Tina, who is here today, the loving matriarch of her family, a mother of 3 daughters, who taught her how to use a drill, a saw, a tape measure, et cetera, all the things I don't know how to use. And I just want to thank her from the bottom of my heart because DIY is so important in the small business that we own and operate today. Also noteworthy, Tina and I both went to the University of Maryland and were both captains of our teams. How cool is that? No big deal, she was just the head cheerleader. I love you both so much and thank you for being here today and supporting me. Last but not least, my best friend and my biggest cheerleader, my mom. I just spent the past week and a half up here from Florida with my mom, and I have to tell you, as God is my witness, Mom, you are the absolute biggest pain in any land developer's behind. I say this because my mom is a true environmentalist. She is the third generation to live on her beautiful farm in Dorrance and has put that farm in a family in a land trust. So me and my older brother could never, do anything bad to it. I am just in awe of how she always leads through example. She is a volunteer at her church, a volunteer at her fire department, and a member of her local garden club. She was in elementary school for 35 years and is the glue of our family. As an ex-teacher, she's always loved to teach us lessons. A few of them that resonate in my mind are haste makes waste, always have a healthy snack on hand, Sarah, less is more, surround yourself with better people and you will be better, and hard work forever pays. I often find myself in those Progressive insurance commercials where young adults become parents because I'm now working in my yard, growing things from seed, cooking, and loving to watch birds. Thank you, Mom, for traveling the world to support me and helping me make good decisions. I hope you know how proud I am of you and all of your accomplishments. I share this honor with you, and you're the best, and I love you. Thank you, everyone.
Two things really stick out when you're defining a career: being the first at something and the creation of a motto or slogan referring to you. This Hanover area athlete found his way to West Point Academy and finally landed in East Stroudsburg. His ability to create havoc on the ground or through the air earned him a Kodak All-American nod, and the distinction of being the first football player ever selected to the NFL draft from East Stroudsburg University. Hence the slogan, Yak Attack, was born. He joins Kadri Ismail in being selected by the Minnesota Vikings to start their careers. He finished his professional career with the Kansas City Chiefs and followed that with a coaching stint at King's College. I present for induction into the Luzerne County Sports Hall of Fame, Mr. Ray Yakovonis.
I promise to be brief. 50 years ago, I graduated from Hanover High School. A few days later, I joined the Army because I was so young. I was trying to get into West Point, and I was only 17. I wouldn't turn 18 until January of '75. So they said, why don't you go to West Point? And there you can compete against other guys for the few spots that they have. So I did that for about 8 months and stayed with their program, and that's where I really began to emerge as football. And I ended up actually being the MVP of the team that particular year. The Army at that time was a mess because Vietnam was just closing up, and you may remember when I joined the Army, Nixon was president. When I got out of basic training, it was Ford. So it was crazy times. And quite frankly, the service at the time, it was a low point because we were adjusting from coming out of the Vietnam War and figuring out what we had to do, around the world. My Army coach had set up an appointment with me to go see Syracuse and to walk on there. So I was only there for 2 weeks because I found out two things in those 2 weeks. One, they had no clue what to do with me, and two, I was as good as anybody they had. So I called Denny Dowds at East Stroudsburg State. And Denny was an amazing guy. He did one of the greatest recruiting things I've ever seen. He recruited me out of high school. When I was overseas in Korea, he called my parents and stayed in touch. I turned him down again to try at Syracuse, and it finally ended up at East Stroudsburg State. And that was just a perfect fit for me, because I'm more the guy, I will work harder on my own with somebody else. So I got to be my own strength coach and speed training. So I got to work out with excellent athletes. My friend Chris Gerhardt, not only is a state wrestler and a great defensive back for East Stroudsburg, but one of the toughest workout partners I've ever had. The NFL affords you many things. It affords you the opportunity to work with the community and to do charity work. So my good friend Lou Champy and my good buddy Danny McGinley, thank you, Danny, for taking me in and making me part of your family for the last 40 years. Lou, thanks for everything you've done, and you're a great friend. My friend Scotty, 45 years, man. Came in the cafeteria. I got my food all set and everything. He's right out of high school, and I'm a senior. I'm the guy on the football team, and this kid comes up and he wants to go after my food. And I'm like, you don't do that. And he goes, hey, do you want these pineapples? And I say, touch them and die. But we've been together for 45 years now, through thick and thin, and he's a great guy. Family, thank you for coming. My good friend, Renee Garvey, I taught for 30 years, taught English at Pocono Mountain High School. She was my neighbor, and she exemplifies what education should be about in the way she cares for children. The biggest and most important thing happened to me in the year 2000. My cousin invited me to a party, and I was at it, and everybody's milling around. I look across, and there is this gorgeous 6'2" girl, and if somebody wants to tell you that love at first sight is impossible, well, it is possible. And thank you, Cheryl, for being the best wife anybody could possibly have. Thank you very much.
Our last inductee is quite animated. I'll tell you right now, he could be in the WWE. He could be the Max Patkin of baseball. This guy, he's personality personified. Never being beaten in your local competition is pretty impressive. Being able to parlay that into an invitation to the swimming Olympic trials speaks for itself. Another endurance athlete, this young man learned early what it would take to make it to the big show. Consistency, preparation, and application are key to a successful athletic career. His countless hours in the water earned him an athletic scholarship to Purdue University. He has since taken that passion to other collegiate and scholastic programs, teaching them how to achieve the same successes that he reached to. This is the second Fast Eddie in our Luzerne County Sports Hall of Fame. We had Eddie Kopech. He was a track runner for King's College in Wyoming Valley West. This is our second Fast Eddie. This Fast Eddie is going to join our other list of inductees, and for at this moment I'd like to present for induction into the Luzerne County Sports Hall of Fame, Mr. Edward Fast Eddie Zawatsky.
Wow. I did wrestle Sammy Hayter for that belt just now, just letting you know. Just letting you know, I'm going to get emotional. I'll probably cry. It's all right. It's normal. Okay? But hello to everyone. Can everyone hear me in the back? All right. Hello to everyone in attendance today, parents, siblings, relatives, teammates, coaches, staff, significant others, caterers, committee members, athletes. The list goes on. All of you deserve a medal tonight for making it to the anchor of the speeches. So congratulations, everybody. I understand these speeches take an exuberant amount of time, but please just lend me your ears for one speech longer for the conclusion of the inductees of the class of 2024 Luzerne County Sports Hall of Fame with yours truly. If you don't know me, I go by many names in the swimming community. I go by Fast Eddie, Coach Ed. In the teaching world, I'm Mr. Zawatsky, but my birth name is Edward John Zawatsky III. Today, I'm proud. I'm proud to stand here, to be in a room with such accomplished and distinguished individuals that shape our Luzerne County, whether that be the inductees or the individuals sitting in the crowd right now who continue to make our area the best we know it is. I am proud to be in front of the supporters that came out with me today, who are from my childhood or from my current stance of activity within my life. And I've decided to celebrate with me today our successes together for this ceremony. Each and every person who is here and some who could not attend today have kept me in their hearts, thoughts, and prayers daily. And there is no amount of gestures or kind words that I can say to repay the gratitude that you have given me. I want to thank you for always being there with me, and I want to thank all the individuals of the Luzerne County Hall of Fame Committee for this gracious honor accepting me and my fellow inductees into the status of local legends and the immortals. If there's one thing that the inductees all have in common today, that is we can mutually agree on that has helped us strive to our own personal successes. You can give some sort of gratuitous reasoning or let our pompous egos run wild to say that we worked harder than other people, or we cared more than other people, or we were built different, as the young people would say. However, there's some truth to that, or not, but there's one common factor. The common factor is known as the ministry of presence. We all wanted that coach, teacher, that friend, that parent or guardian to see us be happy and see us be unapologetically competitive and passionate about something we love to do. There was always someone asking how we did in our competition, our games, our races. Someone who donated to our programs to allow us to play and fund our endeavors. There was always someone that coached us to give us the hard advice we needed to hear or did not need to hear. But no matter what, these people, the people all throughout our entire community, were here with us every step of the way through the good times and the bad, and willing to help us on a moment's notice. If I did not have these three groups of people in my corner each and every day, I would not be standing here today with you. Those are the coaches and teachers that I've learned from, my friends and teammates that kept me grounded, and most importantly, the family that loves me unconditionally. I'm going to begin my list of thank yous for these Power 3 groups, and I'll leave a message for the reminder for the athletes in the back that are here attending this ceremony. To the coaches and teachers, you were the ones to guide the ship. As a coach myself now, I understand the position of a role model in establishing the level of standards for our athletes. Whether it was the smallest critiques or major changes, you put your hearts into everything you wanted to help us, and most importantly, have fun. You selflessly put your time and effort into children that wanted to be the best that they can be, and you followed through for countless generations. We are forever grateful for this, no matter the facility or the umbrella of teams that I was able to work with. I speak for the countless of other athletes that you have shaped, molded, and blossomed numerous individuals through our passions of swimming and forged us into well-rounded human beings, continuing to reach and surpass our goals. To my teammates and friends, I got bad news, we're getting old. But it takes an exceptional teammate and friend to bring us the absolute best out of you day in and day out. Whether we were right there in the thick of it in the pool, training those same sets, swimming those countless miles to enhance our craft, or spending an ungodly amount of training time and competing, and let's not forget the grotesque amount of food that we would eat after every single swim meet for our swimmer bodies. Unfortunately, we can't do that anymore. Or even the friends that would look over your shoulders and cheer you on from the rafters. I wouldn't have survived without you for pushing me to become the athlete that I did, and most importantly, to shape the individual that I've become. I am forever indebted to you, and this honor started in many of the pools that we trained in together, or the meets that you have watched. I met you all, coaches, teachers, teammates, and friends, at different parts of my life, and we all have our own memories we cherish because of this sport. I love you, and this is equally your honor today as well. This is where the fun begins. Finally, my Zawadzki family, mom and dad, I am thankful for you and my brothers. All you ever wanted with us was to achieve happiness in whatever we do, and you would sacrifice any amount of time, money, and effort to allow us to pursue our passions as long as you were there every step of the way to witness it. Whether it was devoting time to learning and understanding the sport of swimming, because neither of my parents competitively swam before, taking one of our 1,000 road trips to competitions with my dad's wonderfully crafted mixtapes as he screamed at every terrible driver on the road, or my mother running the numerous PTO or aquatic board programs, both parents volunteering their time and devotion to what they thought was best for the children of my school or for any swim team that we belonged to. Not to mention always having a freshly cooked meal at night with hugs and kisses of prosperity in the morning before we left to school or practice. I will always say that my mother, Billy Jo, was the first person to get me involved in swimming with Mommy and Me classes, and ever since that day, it has been a transformative experience for my whole family. Hell, she even got a job at our local airports to have flight benefits to come visit her boys whenever they wanted while they attended university. That is unconditional love. This goes without proving your self-work and work ethics and the values that she taught us. Fun fact, my mom's profession is a beautician, and ever since I was born, she would cut my own hair, even the style that you see today. And now the other swimmers that I coach today are yearning for that Mama Z fresh cut for championship season. My dad, Big Ed, I'll never forget the words that we shared of planning, strategizing, providing the realistic perspective and yet simple advice to calm the mind in stressful situations. He would say, treat others the way you wanted to be treated, never burn a bridge, and most importantly, be yourself. And finally, don't piss off your mother while I'm off at work. My father was willing to invest any amount of love, time, and effort, just like my mother, but they knew the journey was going to be different. But he registered to become a USA swimming coach anyway, so he could be my partner in crime on deck for every meet to watch what we love to do. Our family would travel to every single meet looking for whatever competition that would challenge my skills, and these excursions were like little family vacations along the way. I felt like a rock star for how much we traveled. And I started to excel with each meet and ultimately achieving a university scholarship, countless elite meet invites with the best in the world, and even Olympic trial cut along the way, all done before stepping foot into college. Even after all the records, the medals, and all the other nice and shiny extra things that this sport has to offer, the only thing that I wanted to do in the world was make my brother and parents proud. This was the greatest reward of all. As I conclude the speech today, I can happily say I have zero regrets and doubts because swimming has given me remarkable memories, coaches, teachers, teammates, friends, family, and loved ones. But the final message is for the athletes that are sitting in the back right now that I coach today to follow the similar mindset and training path. Enjoy the ride and the journey. This process is more satisfying than the destination or the goal that you set. You cannot swim forever. That is a fact. Ask us oldies. So make sure you take advantage of every moment and opportunity that is given to you or whatever the sport offers to you. It has given me friends that last a lifetime, mentors to continue to look up to, and a family that is always by my side. Live for the ups, learn from the downs, and most importantly, have fun and be present. Thank you so much, and congratulations to all the inductees as well as the committee for putting on an unforgettable event for the Luzerne County Sports Hall of Fame class of 2024.
Eddie left out one thing, that his mom works right next to the exhibit at the airport, and she would say to me when we were changing them over, my son's going to be in there someday, right? My son's going to be in there, right? Like, when's he going to be in there? She didn't have to bargain or bend. We knew what his potential was. Well, here's what everybody's been waiting for, and that's the end of the closing comments. Nice belt. Yeah. Tonight, each individual at this banquet became a voting member of the Hall of Fame. Please sign those clipboards so that we have your contact information. Visit the Artifacts Museum. We have 3 more months on the class that's in there right now, and then in the early fall, we'll start changing it over, putting all of our new athletes in there. As we have displayed tonight, we continue our efforts towards community service. Note the fact of all the entities which we serve across the board, and if you can join us or if you can donate to us, we can help them as well. Thank you to our state and our local community leaders for coming out tonight, presenting our honorees and our inductees with their proclamations. And I know everybody's looking to leave, but I just got one thing to say to you. Remember, it only takes one person to tell you that you can before you put it all out there and strive to achieve a dream. Always let your faith be bigger than your fears. Thank you, and we'll have Deacon Bill Beam, lead us home. Deacon Beam.
There is a story that I like to tell. It's about my son, Kevin, who graduated from the United States Naval Academy in 2004. This has led him to be the commanding officer of the USS Hartford, but his career did not begin when he entered the United States Naval Academy. It began in the wrestling room at Myers High School. While he was at the academy, he commanded the 16th Company, and we were there to see him leading his people onto the field for the 2003 Army-Navy football game. We were filled with pride, something that's natural for any parent whose son or daughter is about to be commissioned for service in the United States Armed Forces. We chanted, "Go Navy, beat Army," over and over and over until the end of the game, when we witnessed something that changed our understanding of competition forever. After a hard-fought game, the Army and the Navy teams embraced one another, and they walked arm in arm to their respective benches, where they stood together and sang together, each institution's alma mater. May we always remember that while winning is certainly important, but winning isn't everything. What's supremely important is the sense of family that comes about particularly through sporting events and through the efforts that our sons, our daughters, and our parents went through. I ask that God help us to love and to respect one another, to love and respect those that we face and win, and also to love and respect those whom we look at after we have lost to them. See us safely home with your blessings, Father. We ask this through Almighty God's mercy. Amen.